Okay, hey, and good day, Alita Army. Welcome to the Alita live stream of August the 6th, 2021, Alita and Goku discussion, where we discuss all things to do with the movie Alita Battle Angel, the source manga Gundam, and the desired sequel. I am your host, the Muskogee Creek from Denver, Colorado, and our co-host here is Angelus from Brisbane in Queensland, Australia. How you doing, Angelus?
Bittersweet.
Bittersweet. Oh, okay. Dan is supposed to be joining us here pretty quick, and I think there he is. He just joined us. So, how's it going, Dan? Dan from Tampa, Florida.
I should hope he would have been joining us because of something that he posted in private chat.
Yes. Yes, and Dan, I think your mic's muted.
Dan?
Either that or he's having problems with his mic, one of the two.
Hello.
Hey, what's happening?
StreamYard. Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we're on. Yeah, we're.
Hey, how's it going? I don't know where we are. I'm literally just walking in the door from a run. I'm still soaking, dripping.
Oh, wow.
Sorry for being unprepared. I actually set this up before I went out.
Oh, you're not unprepared. I mean, you know more about Dragon Ball than just about anybody I know. So I don't think you're unprepared at all.
How's it going, guys?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Tired. Wet.
How are the wife and kids being the dogs? How are they doing?
Well, the hairy kids, the pseudo kids is what I like to call them because they're getting us ready for our real kids. Everyone's good. My wife would like to be here, but fortunately today she's out.
You mean she wants to be on the stream sometime?
Yeah, she loves Dragon Ball. And
Cool.
I don't know if you've seen my office, but I've said it before. The Dragon Ball poster in my office was hers from when she was in high school. When I met her, I saw it on her, and I first went into her bedroom. I saw the poster, and I was like, "Wait, you're a Dragon Ball fan?" She's like, "Yeah."
Oh, so, nice.
It was a mutual thing.
Was it love at first sight when you saw that Dragon Ball poster?
I don't know. She's kind of annoying, so I had to get over
that. Okay. So anyway, so how's the weather down there in good old Tampa, Florida?
It's hot as fuck.
Yeah. Well, it's hot here too, although it's not quite as bad as it was. I mean, I think the temperature out there is about 80 something or other. You know, it's not too bad, about 84, I think. And I bet Angelus, his temperature is probably, he's in wintertime, so he's going to be like probably near 0 degrees Celsius, right?
Why Australians always got to do everything fucking backwards? They're getting it wrong, okay? It's summer on this planet right now, okay?
And I think he's muted.
Oh, no, I'm just muting myself. I think it was like 40 something Fahrenheit.
Okay.
That's not bad. Yeah. I mean, that's cold for Florida, but I mean, you know, not as bad as I thought. So what are the topics today?
Well, this is it. I don't know if you can see it. We're going to talk about Alita and Goku. So we're not going to talk about them as though they're going to fight, although we will probably discuss that a little bit because it's kind of in their natures to do this, you know. But yeah, we're going to talk about them as characters, you know, mostly, and then we're going to kind of review who their chief nemesis are and stuff like that, you know, and maybe a little bit of a comparison of the two of them, you know. But we mainly want to just talk about them, and then of course we'll have some side conversations on that one. So,
who would you rather marry? That's what we're going to do. Who would be the worst to be married to? Because they're both not very good spouses.
Well, I tell you what, Goku, in his upper level forms, he could just disintegrate you. So I think I'd just rather be married to Alita if I was going to get married to one of them, you know.
They can both disintegrate you in their weakest form. So I don't think that's really the factor right there. It's who is gone most.
Yeah.
Who has gone away from their family most.
Yeah, I would say Goku probably is. You know, I don't know. That's kind of interesting. You know, they're probably similar in a lot of that way. You know, because Alita, you know, she does she does go off. She runs off and leaves Figure 4 and to try to get to Zalem and that kind of stuff. And Goku, of course, he runs off to go to that planet Namek, to fight Frieza and all those guys. So so I don't know. It's probably pretty even, I would say, wouldn't you?
Well, then you've got the Badlands, right? Alita being gone from Ito and the scrapyard, and that's 10 years. And then you've got Goku, who was dead for a collective of about 10 years. I mean, he was dead for about a year before Namek, and then later on he dies for 7 years. So I don't know who is harder on their family. Who knows?
I don't know. It's a pretty close race on that one, I think. You
could say, in a way, Alita got Dr. Ito killed in the manga. And then also, in a way, Goku, in a way, gets his family killed as well. In a real roundabout way. Both of them. Because Ito dies trying to get something for Alita. Whereas Goku, kind of chasing a big fight, the villain ends up destroying the planet Earth, killing his family. So I don't know. Who is harder on their family? That's kind of a wash.
Yeah, it is. I think so. I think you're right about that one. Because Alita, basically, she dies 2 or 3 times, doesn't she? Or at least, I don't know how many times.
Pretty much the same as Goku, 2 or 3 times.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
One of the arguments I'm going to make about Alita being the better waifu is the equivalent of Goku coming back to life. Alita makes a copy of herself because she knows that she'll be going to dangerous territory. I'll say post Last Order, because we all know what happens after that, and we know what happens at the end of Last Order. Yeah. She makes a copy or a clone or a 3D printing of a flesh printing of herself. Yeah. To take her place, because she cares about Figure 4 enough to do that. And obviously she does love Figure 4 enough to do that. But at the same time, who else could do the things that she could in her world? And same with Goku.
I think you could make the case. Oh, go ahead.
I've got an argument for that. So if you're talking Alita versus 18, as in better waifu, I'm gonna make this argument. What Alita did was immoral because it's lying, right? It's like reverse cheating, right? Cheating is I go and I seek someone outside as my spouse. Now it's like reverse cheating. It's like I'm making you seek someone outside of me and tricking you, making you believe that it's me when it's not really Alita. It's a clone. I guess you could say in a way, because it is her original brain in the Last Order version. But then on top of that, when it comes to 18 didn't have to do that. 18 gave up fighting for her family, and the only way she fights now is if she's being paid money to bring back home to her family. Yeah. And 18 would honestly let the world die if it meant being with her family. And you see that when she sends Krillin off to do the fighting and she just stays home with her kid. So she cares more about her family than she does the Earth. She will literally let the Earth die if it weren't for, like when she was told in the Tournament of Power, right, that the universes will be wiped out if she doesn't fight in this tournament and help them. She's like, I don't give a shit. How much money will I be making? That's it. That's all she cares about. So I say for that purpose right there, reverse cheating, and the fact that 18 doesn't even put her family in danger. She would rather just stay home and protect the nest. Boom.
Yeah, I would counter that though with Alita in that, she, like, it's kind of like what Angelus was saying, is that, she cared about Figure enough to have a copy of herself, and
which
Figure
is reverse
4,
cheating.
Well,
it's reverse
cheating. I don't see it that
reverse cheating doesn't work because
I'm deceiving you into thinking that you're with me when you're not.
Well, he's not. She's not really deceiving him though, because he has to realize when he sees her at the end of Last Order, is that is not the Alita that left me back at in volume whatever it was. That's not the same Alita, and he's got to know that because she's got a human body, and she's not a cyborg, so.
Think about this. Think about how immoral this is, right? You're with a woman, and you wake up next to her and you're like, oh wow, she's got bigger breasts today, so there's an improvement there. You notice it's different. You don't know how she got it, but you're like, okay, this is pretty good, when really that's just a bustier clone of your wife, and now your wife is off
What's
fighting
moral is the old saying by Edmund Burke,
on
the
planets
only thing necessary for the good thing to be evil
hold on,
is
let me
for good
finish.
men to do nothing.
Hold
and
on,
if 18 want to do nothing, what? You never let other people finish, so
hold on, let me finish. Let me finish.
Wait,
so now you've got your
now the
clone
only
in
thing
the bed.
necessary for the ending of
hold
evil
on, hold
is
on,
for
hold
men
on.
to do nothing.
Whoa. Hold on, one at a time now.
Relax. So you've got your wife here. You've got your bustier clone here. You think it's your wife. You think you're living happily ever after, right? But really, you're being deceived because your actual wife, the woman who you were actually with, who you built all those memories with, is now off on planets unknown. And because she's a separate person from the one that you thought you had, she can still be with a whole nother person outside of what you believe to be the truth. To me, that's reverse infidelity.
Well, Dan, my counter though is figure 4 he's not deceived. He's got to know that human Alita is not the one that was with him before, because the other Alita is a cyborg. The human Alita obviously is not. So he's not deceived. So I don't see how deception comes in there. Now,
damn, that's one thing I didn't consider.
I mean, for me, here's my thing, about figure 4 on that one. Then I want to get off of this because I want to go into the two characters themselves. But here's my thing, figure 4 knows that this is not his Alita. Now, if he chooses to live with the human Alita, he's choosing to live with her over the Alita that kind of went off to Jupiter and Venus and that kind of stuff. So to me, it's like he's not being 100% faithful either, because he knows that's not his Alita. He's got to know that,
So from the 30,000 foot view, you as the viewer who's the omnipotent viewer, you're reading this from the outside. Who would you choose to end up with? Who would you feel more satisfied with, and how would you feel being able to, as the omnipotent viewer, be able to see the other Alita doing her thing outside of you?
What you mean? Who would I choose between cyborg Alita and human Alita?
Yeah, if you're putting if you, as with the knowledge that you have as the omnipotent viewer, right? Who would you? Not even necessarily as figure 4. You know what I mean? Just you as Gary. Who would you spend your time with as the reader? And how would you feel knowing that outside of you, this other Alita is living a completely other life?
Well, my thing would be, okay, this human Alita is really cute, pretty, nice, whatever, but that's not my Alita. I'm going to go after my Alita. That's what I would do.
There you go, reverse infidelity.
No, it's not reverse infidelity, because for me, it depends on why she did it. Too. I mean, if she's doing it for what she thinks is maybe a higher, I don't know if you call it calling or sense of duty or honor or whatever, whatever it is. And she's doing it for the greater good. And she really believes it, because if at the end of Last Order, she says the one promise that I cannot keep is the most important one. And and that, to me, that tells me that she realizes that, if I could do this, if I could change things, I would just go back to figure, So that's kind of the way I see it. I mean, she just sees a greater good thing. So that's how the Creek sees it anyway. So,
but you'd still rather have the original.
Okay.
Well, technically, he has the original.
Well, I guess he does, really, because it's her brain, or at least a clone of it. So, and probably with their level of technology with that printer, it's probably her sentience too.
If you were to just create another cyborg body and put her brain in it, that'd still be the original over one with the biochip.
Now you got two.
Yeah.
And then that creates another problem of infidelity, for me at least. If I saw the one that I met, the one that I had to fight, get stomped in the mud to be with, run off with another guy while I get the cheap clone.
Well, she didn't run off with another guy, though.
But she can. You don't know if she does. We don't know what happens.
So you're basing your argument off
unless she comes back to figure 4 in the end, which I doubt that's going to happen. So then figure 4 gets 2 Alitas because he got stomped in the mud. He deserves 3 Alitas. So having 2 would be at least halfway there.
Since he got his butt kicked, he deserves 3 Alitas.
He actually deserves 3. So he's still not getting the whole deal if she comes back.
I don't know if he can handle 3 Alitas.
With the context of Alita and Goku as opposed to Alita and Clone, I would actually have to say Goku. I'd rather be with Goku, based purely on the fact that, let's say he was alive. Yes, he's probably the best fighter, perhaps not by much, because obviously Vegeta is like always on his heels, but he would be the best fighter or the one that has the best chance against a big bad, and. We all know who the big bad is in the current manga, being Moro, but but he's not the only one. Like I said, Vegeta is one fighter you could still rely on. You probably wouldn't bet all your money on him, but at least he's there. From what I can see, I don't think there's anyone that could handle the things the way Alita can. So the fact that
since I'm heterosexual, I'd rather be with Alita, not Goku.
Are you sure about that? You haven't met me yet. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
if we're still ourselves, then I'll probably go Shrek. But
yeah.
Shrek is love. Shrek is life. You know what I'm talking about, right, Danny?
Yeah, of course, yeah. But honestly, I would say that for them, as I know, I just kind of made up that bullshit point of who would be the better spouse. I'll just fucking around. But honestly, in that, if you want, I know we're not supposed to be comparing them, but it was just a fun thing to do. But
no, we're going to compare them a little bit later.
In that comparison, I would honestly say it's an absolute wash. Both characters are pretty similar in this aspect right here.
Yeah.
Both of them aren't very good spouses, and not only for things that have to do that are their own fault. It's a lot of it has to do with the position they're put in as the protagonist of the manga. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a wash there. I thought that was a pretty interesting.
Yeah, I guess you're probably right.
I'll definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I mean, both of them, I think being away so much, it'd be tough, speaking from personal experience. So I know how it is when what it does to a relationship when one person's away a lot, So anyway.
By the way, that just speaks to a little bit I guess because the Alita manga fandom is a lot smaller than the Dragon Ball fandom, and the Dragon Ball fandom has a lot of people who only watched the Toonami version when they were 7 and never really got into the story. But there is not a lot of Alita fans that go, Alita's such a bad daughter or a bad friend or a bad spouse.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of Alita fans saying that, but they love to say that about Goku because Goku's gone. And it's hey, Goku's a bad father because he's always gone. And it's dude, I grew up with my dad in the military and he was gone all the time. You know what I mean?
I don't see Goku as a bad father though. I think he's actually a good father. That's my opinion. Now, yeah, he is gone a lot, but he cares about his son and all that. So we're going to get to all that. So I think
he's a good father, but a flawed person, and that's how he's written. He's written to be naive. You know what I mean? But he's not written to be malicious or uncaring. And you'll see that as you get further in the show. He makes somewhat of a mistake that didn't end up being a mistake with his son. And when he realized that it was a mistake, he was like, "Oh shit, I had to fix this." And a lot of fans use that as evidence that he's a bad father, but it was a mistake.
No,
what parent didn't make mistakes with their kids or anyone?
Oh yeah.
You're not talking about Cell games, are you?
Yes, I am.
Oh, in that case, I think I know the mistake you refer to.
And it didn't turn out to be a mistake. It turned out to be the actual correct thing.
Well, if it's the thing that I think about, it didn't stop Cell, or didn't stop. Yeah, it didn't stop Cell in the first place. So, or in the end, it didn't. It turned out it didn't stop him anyway.
I was talking about forcing Gohan to fight. forcing his son to fight. They say that a lot of the fans say that, oh, that's evidence of him being a bad father. And it's like, no, he put his son in an uncomfortable position so his son can learn how to thrive in bad situations without him. It's what any good father would do, in my opinion. I'm going to make my son talk to girls. If my son is getting bullied, I'm going to make him stand up against the bully. If he's has an issue, I'm not going to let him run away from it. I'm going to make him go through it. Of course, I'm not going to make him fight a villain trying to destroy the world. That's different. But I'm not a Super Saiyan, so you know what I mean. It's a whole different thing. But that the moral, the theme stands true in my opinion, and it holds up.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's start chatting about these two. Now, you know, we've seen versions of this slide, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. I think, you know, Alita, you know, is certainly. What are you doing there, Angelus? There's a lot of.
No, I'm just had. I'm still chowing down on
you're eating
medication.
Breakfast. Yeah, that's right. You're eating breakfast. Okay.
Cheerios.
Anyway. So anyway, yeah, Alita is really, she has superhuman strength. And you guys have heard me say this. I've calculated how strong she is in her berserker body and her Imaginos body. She's much stronger. But, you know, able to, in her berserker body, able to curl 800 pounds and that kind of thing, and bench press over 3,000 pounds and that kind of stuff, which would put the creek to shame if I was to compete against her. So she's.
You'll just break yourself.
Yeah, she'd ruin me, you know, but anyway.
Well, she'd be in a much older division.
Yeah, true. Which would be fucked up. That makes the competition even better for her.
Yeah.
300 pluses. There's nobody there. You know?
Yeah, so she'd win. Yeah. So anyway, but in terms of her strength, very strong, is superhuman strength. We even had a discussion one time whether or not she was a metahuman or not. And we kind of had a little bit of a split decision on that. Depends on your take. But anyway, she's very durable. Certainly she can heal really fast, you know, and that's, we saw that when Gerwishka punctured her, you know, punctured her with that grind cutter, you know, and she healed within like 10 seconds or less, or maybe less than that, you know. In her Imaginos bodies, and that's the only way she can run at relativistic speeds, of course, is you know, she's extremely fast. She's even pretty fast in her berserker body, but she certainly, in terms of ability, wouldn't be able to compete with Goku in her berserker body, at least in his upper power levels. You know, very fast reflexes, of course, deflecting bullets. You know, super duper stamina, being a cyborg. You know, I think there's a line in the novelization that says that cyborgs, you know, can continue to run until one of their legs falls off. You know, a human being can't do that. You know, so and like Dan mentioned a while ago, she's really old. You know, which even if you know, that if she was to take a liking to the creek, she'd be robbing the cradle, would she?
Well, here's another interesting thing too. If you were to put Alita into the Dragon Ball universe, and she would have to follow the Dragon Ball laws, you know, the Dragon Ball universe's laws, she would actually probably get a little bit stronger because of how Android 18 and Android 18 and 17's, the other androids work in that show, you know?
Oh, yeah. Android 17. Excellent. Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, 17, 18, 19. Like, there's actually different types of androids. Like, there's the human-based ones like 18 and 17, and there's the completely robotic ones like 19 and 16.
Yeah.
And so, like, the way those androids operate, I think it'll make Alita slightly stronger if there was a crossover.
Well, I like Android 17 because I think one time you told me he looked like me or something like that.
No, that's 13. That's the one.
13. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. He's a redneck, isn't he? Or a redneck?
Yeah.
See, I'm not a redneck, but I'm a Southern boy, so I guess I could see the correlation.
Do you identify as a cracker?
No, I do not.
No, a lot of people do down here. It's not like a derogatory term, by the way. At least not down here.
Yeah.
You know, we got a store called Cracker Boys, and it's a gun store. So.
Yeah, I've had people before call me, call me like a hillbilly. You know, I said I'm not a hillbilly either. You know, when I spend some of my time there in North Carolina, you know. but anyway, she can self-modify, and as I mentioned before, you know, she can do this with her subconscious. You know, other cyborgs can self-modify, but they have to really, you know, do it intentionally. You know, they have to take their hands and rebuild themselves or whatever, kind of like Cyborg did in the theatrical release of Justice League. Certainly she's got that plasma weapon, and you know, she knows Panzerkunst, which means she's an extremely good fighter. And then, of course, two of the things that Angelus and I really like about her is that, you know, perseverance and determination. You know, she gets when she wants to achieve an objective, she is like single-minded purpose on that thing. You know. So, but anyway, that's her in a nutshell, I guess. Of course, we didn't bring up the power of Uwu, and we know she has that. So, you know, we can just assume that without even bringing it up. Which the creep just brought it up anyway. So, I guess we did bring it up. So, but any other thoughts about her, Angelus or Den?
My only thought is one that leads into. If we end up touching even briefly, if we end up comparing them in let's call it a sparring match. We won't call it a fight, but we'll call it a sparring match. And if we end up touching on that, that's where my input comes in.
Okay, well, when we get to Goku, because I'm sure it's going to come up, because I think, well, personally, I think they would fight, you know, but I don't, you know, it's like you say, I'm not sure it'd be a fight to the death, you know, it'd be, you know, I think because eventually I think they'd become friends, because they're, you know, they both have good intentions for the most part, you know, I mean, they're both flawed characters, I guess, in a lot of ways, like Den was saying with the Goku, but, you know, what human being doesn't have some flaws, you know, or, well, I guess Goku's not a human being, but and Alita's only 1% human being in her cyborg form. So, but anyway, I think they would eventually, but we'll get to that pretty soon.
Yeah.
Den, what do you? Are you there, Den? Or did you?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just planking. Give me 1 second. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Oh, you have trouble with your.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So go ahead. Ask one more time.
Yeah, just if you had any thoughts about Alita as a character, you know, I mean, there's kind of a synopsis there, and of course we brought up she's good looking, so you know that we just assume that. But any other thoughts about her as a character?
No, just that she's a great personality match as a friend. Like for Goku, like I said, she fit into the Dragon Ball universe perfectly.
Yeah, I think she would too, really, from just what little I've seen of it.
This will segue into Goku, but I'd like to hear Den's opinion on this one. But one other aspect of Goku that I'm pretty confident that does exist is that not only does he want to be stronger, but I guess he wants others to become stronger, or at least stronger than what they used to be. And 1 second, hold that thought. Sorry, just had to cough up the lung.
Cough up the lung. Are you still sick, Angelus?
I am, yeah.
Oh, God. Okay.
Similar to a character that you'll meet later on, I won't really be spoiling it by telling you, but similar to a character called Oob, I reckon if they ever did spar like I implied, the fight would end before a victor could even be determined, because Goku would pick up on that and he'd want to train Alita, if for no other reason, to make Alita stronger, so then he can fight her. You know, who knows?
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, hold that thought, because we're gonna that is, I definitely want to talk about that when we get to the Goku part of this. You know, so yeah. So anyway, Alita, and we're going to get to kind of the analog with Goku on this too, is that Alita has been in a lot of different bodies. One of them even human, at least that clone was completely human. But, you know, they're the bodies, certainly the 3 bodies that she was in, you know, in the movie. In the upper left-hand corner, I guess two of those bodies, well, actually, three of the bodies. Well, no, two of them. The doll body and the motorball body you see in the upper left corner there. The other two bodies, the one where she's wearing like the cowboy hat, you know, that third one is kind of, that's, I believe, her civilian body. And the one where she's jumping up in the air with that cape, that's an Imaginos body, or it could be the tuned body. I'm not sure which, but
it's not very clear in this picture, which is which.
Yeah, I probably should have made it a little bit bigger because I didn't. I wanted to kind of go into these bodies here, and I didn't have a kind of room for it. I wanted to stick it on one slide, but these are the three bodies that Alita has the most power in, and of course that. The Creek likes Alita in the Imaginos 2.1 body because she is the most powerful in that body, and she is connected to the singularity. And also she's got that tail, which the Creek thinks is kind of sexy on her, you know. But anyway, but all three of those bodies are pretty powerful, and she can run, you know, at relativistic speeds in those bodies. So, I mean, you know, that I think in one of these three bodies, probably that 2.1 body or even the 2.0 body for that matter. Yeah, I think I agree with you, Dan. I think she would fit perfectly, or she'd be a very good fit in the Dragon Ball universe, I think, you know, she would, you know, she could just get, you know, just, you know, take care of herself, you know, I mean, with some of those folks, you know, so anyway, any thoughts about these three?
Well, I think that any version of her actually would fit right in with the Dragon Ball universe, to be honest with you. Especially this version, because when Kishiro started writing Last Order,
yeah,
that's, you know, after, you know, everything happened after the end of Dragon Ball, after Shonen got really big in Japan and stuff like that. And I think that that's what had to do with him taking Last Order in a more action-oriented direction, you know. Yeah. Especially with the tournament art that, again, was popularized with Dragon Ball. So I just think that it's not even just how strong she is. It's the way she's written, the way that Battle Angel's lore and rules are handled. Of course, the lore is much deeper in Battle Angel and Gundam. It's more in the scale of like Halo or something. Yeah. But yeah, I think as a character, she fits right in.
Yeah, I guess she could fit in there pretty well in terms of if she had to defend herself. She'd probably fit in fairly well in the Berserker body, you know, because in the movie we don't really know what her capabilities are. I mean, we saw her fight pretty well in the Berserker body, but she did pretty well also in the doll body. You know, she beat the shit out of those three cyborgs, you know, and she kind of had two fights with Grishka, one that she won and the other she lost, you know, so.
And it's not just about, you know, how well she fights. It's just her character in general. I mean, because, I mean, a lot of Dragon Ball, I mean, you're only seeing Dragon Ball Z, but a lot of Dragon Ball, the entire franchise as a whole, is comedy, adventure, slice of life. So she really does just fit into any part of it as a character. I mean, there are analogs for her in the show, you know, that could work. So not even just fighting wise, but like just character wise.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Alita. Well, I think Alita would fit into pretty much anything because I mean, I think basically, you know, as a character, if you wanted to talk about her as a person, I think she's basically a good person, although she has her moments to where she goes off the rails, you know. But I think overall, I mean, she's just like any of us. I think, you know, I mean, you know, overall, she's good. You know, I think. A good person, if you want to think of it as that. You know, there are some stories, of course, in the original series, those extra stories in which she does some things that are pretty bad, you know. But I think in the actual canon, I think she's basically a good person or as a character, you know. So anyway,
I agree.
Yeah. And one thing she does have in common with Goku, which we'll talk about a little bit, is that she is kind of like they said in the movie, you know, she's drawn to conflict. So, you know, you get the feeling, particularly in the manga, you know, you feel like, well, she loves to fight, you know, she does, you know, I mean, or at least I wouldn't say she goes looking for a fight, maybe like Goku would, but
Well, I mean, look at her even when she lived in peace during the 2 years in the scrapyard after the motorball arc. What was she doing? She was still a hunter warrior.
Yeah.
So drawing to conflict, and she was teaching martial arts and self-defense.
Yeah.
So, you know, what do you think Goku would be doing if he wasn't farming?
He'd be doing the same. He'd be doing the same thing, basically.
He'd be training.
Unfortunately, his wife made him get a job as a farmer later in the series, but you know, he really didn't want to do that. He wanted to be he wanted to fight, you know, and teach, you know.
Yeah.
And a security guard. He did that too.
Okay, well, that's in the other Dragon Ball series.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to watch that sometime too. I know, you know, just for you folks out there, you know, we've been Dan and Angelus and I have been watching Dragon Ball Z Kai, you know, and it's pretty good. I mean, I'm enjoying the story and everything, you know, and I'm coming to like Vegeta more and more. You know, even though he's you know, he's not your classic bad guy. I think he's probably leans that way. Maybe you'd agree with me, Dan, on this, but he does have some streak of good in him, although it's kind of tempered quite a bit, I think. So,
well, your opinion is not an unpopular one. Most fans, I would say, like Vegeta better than Goku.
Really?
From what I've seen, yeah.
Nah, I don't.
They say because he has a character arc in Dragon Ball Z. He has a huge character arc, and he does. Goku doesn't have much of a character arc in Dragon Ball Z. But that's because those are people that are only watching Dragon Ball Z. When there's another show, wait, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's on. I didn't see it on. Yeah, there's another show called Dragon Ball, which is the rest of the fucking series, the other half of it. And if you take that into account, Goku does have a character arc. Goes from being the naive child, he's everyone's kid. He's like Bulma's kid, like a surrogate kid, Roshi's surrogate kid. And then from there, he goes to being the wise patriarch. If you see the end of Dragon Ball Z, he's a grandfather. And of course, he still doesn't have the highest IQ in the world, but he's wise. He knows what to do. People don't just go to him because he's strong. They go to him for advice. You know what I mean? What are we going to do now? Let's wait for what Goku would do. Goku's not scared. We shouldn't be scared. That kind of stuff.
Well, the Creek can identify with him being a grandfather. That's for sure.
And he's a good grandfather, too.
Yeah. Yeah. But, anyway, Alejandro Camagos had a question about is there nanotech in Alita's berserker body? So when she's in the motorball body, rather not the nanotech of her berserker body, does it translate, or is it also in the motorball body? And we didn't, Alejandro, we didn't see anything in the movie like that. I think she does have a nanotech in the motorball body in the manga. Am I right about that? Either Angelus or Dan? I believe I remember seeing something about that, because she gets healed up and all that stuff there too. But it's not like her berserker body, I don't think. Or at least she has that cyber blood. Let me say that.
I mean, she technically could, but because her innate memories of the berserker, I guess, at least in the movie anyway, she'd more picture herself as a berserker. So naturally, the nanotech would form more towards that, perhaps more out of habit than anything else. Probably,
yeah. Well, she does have those nano machines in her you know, in her not heart's blood, but the other blood. What they call it, heart's blood is, I can't remember what they call the blue blood now. It's just machine blood or cyber blood. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's just a cyborg blood to me.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, well, anyway, here's our boy Goku right here, and we'll spend a little bit more time here because we kind of know about Alita already. We've covered her several times on this stream, but you know, Goku is not a human being. He's a Saiyan, and that they're aliens, you know, and it's kind of like they're like, I think Den put it best, they're kind of like space Spartans, if you want to think of it as that, you know, and they're, you know, there's a bunch of them, a faction of them, if not all of them, that are trying to conquer the universe, I guess. Wouldn't you say that's right, Den? Or they're trying to, they sent they send different Saiyans to different planets to destroy them, so they take over and sell them or something.
What you find out, it was really Frieza that, you know, he conquered the Saiyans, gave them technology, and said, "Hey, you guys are warlike and you like to fight, so I'm going to conscript you and use you as part of my conquering." Because Frieza ultimately is the ruler of the universe in the franchise. So it's kind of like if the Spartans are subjugated by Persia, and then Persia used them as mercenaries.
Yeah. Well, anyway, with Goku, he has extraordinary strength, even as a Saiyan. I mean, there was that one scene there we saw, I guess, Wednesday night or last night rather, where he was actually training in 100G gravity, and that's mind-boggling to me, because a human being in 100G would just be a puddle of liquid. They wouldn't. They wouldn't. You know, and here's Goku practicing, you know, doing punches and kicks and you know, kind of shooting out energy bolts and stuff like that, you know, in 100G. I mean, unbelievable. You know, I mean, that's a strength, and that's in his lowest form body right there. You know,
and what I like about that from a narrative perspective is that it's a real contrast to what we had back in the day with Western superheroes. Yeah. And this has always been my problem with why I don't find Western superheroes that interesting. And now I'm not saying it's bad. My wife loves them. My mom loves them. My mom, they love Spider-Man and stuff. And there's some of those movies and shows that I like. So I'm not shitting on them. But I never found interesting the I got bit by a spider and woke up with abs kind of thing. You know what I mean? That's never been interesting to me growing up. What inspired me as a kid more than anything was watching Goku start from zero and then work his way up. He started at 10 times gravity because he started at 20 because he already trained in 10 times gravity, and then he worked his way up. And what I was saying to you is that Kai is kind of shortened. And so they did cut out some of the training, and you see a lot of his training is actually a lot harder than that. He goes from 20 times to 30 to 40 to 50 and works his way up. And it's a lot of like literal blood, sweat, and tears. And then from that, you get his first fight, and that just feels good as a viewer, having watched him go through all of this training and all the struggle and stuff. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the same thing for Alita as well. You know what I mean? I compared them in my video on whether or not Alita's a Mary Sue. It's like a 20-minute video on Alita's character. And what I said, what makes things work so well for Alita is that in her most overpowered moments, you were there along the roller coaster ride. Now you're at the tip about to go down, and that's what that's like. You know what I mean? It's like that part you earned all that potential energy, and then boom, it just, you know what I mean? It's not necessarily that she woke up powerful. And I think that's what makes these two characters work so well for me.
Well, you know, another thing about Alita too, at least in the novelization, you know, was that even though she had the berserker body and was trained, she had to do some training from motorball. I mean, it wasn't like, hey, I've got this berserker body, now I can kick butt out on the motorball track. She had to train for like 2 or 3 months. I can't remember how long it was. And now that's pretty fast, you know. I mean, I mean, if you go for like you go to take karate or you know, or jujitsu or something like that, it takes you a long time to get, you know, different belts, you know, if it's done right. If it's not done,
go ahead.
Yes, and it's not done like, if it's not done like how sometimes you know, some of these teachers will, and I don't want to say it's because they're Americans, but sometimes with Western cultures, they got to see that progression in kind of a physical form, you know, so they get a belt after this short amount of time, to get another belt, to get another belt, you know, but with her 2 months, you know, in a berserker body is certainly a reasonable amount of time, you know, because she has you know, a little bit of an AI going there and stuff like that, you know, which the muscle memory comes around a lot faster and that kind of thing. So.
And what I think it was Ray that was talking about this. You know, she was I think it was Ray. You know how she was very good at street motorball, right? It was like, oh yeah, she's dominating everybody. But when she got to the professional track, it kind of like didn't translate directly. You know, she had her time training, and then still she was kind of like, oh shit, this is like the professional league here. Like this is the real shit. You know what I mean? I wish that was in a movie, but it's not the most important thing, and it's already a 2 hour and 4 minute movie. So no, what I really wish is that we had a fucking director's cut on the Blu-ray, like an extended 3 hour cut.
Yeah, that'd be
you could have got something like that. But
well,
it's not a complaint, by the way. Go ahead.
Well, she even thought about that too, in terms of not just street motorball. How she, I was reading Ray's, some of Ray's, he's written kind of a what he calls a fanfic, but it's like she sees that in the first league is a lot tougher than it was in the second league, because some of the tricks that she did in the second league, get the second league championship, that is not working in the Champions League or the first league, Yeah,
so, I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I do.
And the sword swings both ways as well.
Yeah.
Like some of the tricks that she tries to use, like the champion level paladins wouldn't fall for. And of course, there's some tricks that the champion level paladins.
Wow, Angelus, you're really breaking up. I think is your.
I can hear him pretty perfectly. Actually, it might just be on your end.
Are you guys there?
Oh, yeah. I think that's
probably on my end. Might be my internet.
Yeah, I think that's on your end.
Or Den can translate in that case. But then there'd be some things that the champion level paladins can do, like fainting in sparring or even actual combat.
Yeah.
There'd be like a professional boxer, let's just say, for example, would be able to throw a feint far more convincingly than an amateur could.
Yeah.
Or even set you up and condition you in ways. That's one thing that you see a lot. So like one thing I used to like doing, this is a trick that worked on my level when it came to Muay Thai, was, constantly throwing leg kicks. I emphasize, I did a lot of leg kicks, right? You throw a lot of leg kicks and eventually they start checking, they start checking the kicks because it starts to hurt. And then you feint the leg kick, draw a check, and then use that to grab their leg and sweep them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Get them to react the way you want them to react. I like things like that. So where like, you have a character who thinks they're really good. And of course you do see this in superhero films. You see them in one area, they're really good, they're fucking dominating. Then they go to the next level and find out like, holy shit, this is something completely different. Like, there's a YouTuber named Shane Faison. He's fought professional Muay Thai. I think he's done amateur boxing. Like he's a fighter. He's got some experience. He's been doing it since he's a kid. And then he went and sparred with someone named Stephen Thompson. He's a UFC fighter with like a karate base. I don't know if you've seen him, Angelus, because he's got a karate taekwondo base. But he went to his gym and sparred him in a YouTube video. And the title of that video was "Sparring Stephen Thompson is literally like fighting Goku." And it's like it's funny because like Shane's actually pretty good in his own right. Shane's you've seen fights that he's won if you followed his YouTube career, but the fact that the UFC fighters are on this like different level that you can't even fathom, you know what I mean? I love stuff like that. And if we get to the next few episodes of Dragon Ball, Goku's going to end up in a situation like that. Like there's levels that you couldn't even fathom were possible.
Well, I know I've watched fights with Lurdzilla, and I know he does a lot of leg kicks and sweeps, it's kind of interesting you mentioned that because, in a lot of karate styles, they don't do that much on leg sweeps. I mean, some, but I mean, they don't. But I know in the style I was in and my brother's still in, that is one of our staples, this leg sweeps. You get them off their feet and then you follow up, so that's kind of that's kind of that. But our karate style is different, than I think most of them. I'm not saying better, because it depends on the person mostly. Some styles are better than others, but if you got a great style and you got a person that can't fight, I don't care what kind of style you got, they're going to get destroyed,
If you're meal team 6, it doesn't matter what kind of shit you do. You know what
that's
I mean?
Right. You're exactly. But anyway, Goku really strong. I mean, that's one of the things that impressed me when as I've been watching, some of these episodes. It's just how intense, how insanely strong this guy is. I mean, it's unbelievable. He impresses the creek. I'll tell you that. He's very durable, and you can see he's damn near invulnerable, isn't he? I mean, he does stuff in training you would think would kill people, but he does it to himself. And he says, "Oh, wow, I survived. Yeah, that's kind of funny, you know, when you think about it, you know, the way he's training there. Now, we haven't seen this too much so far from what I've seen. Dan, you might want to talk about this some. I mean, we know he's got fast reflexes and stamina and stuff like that. But in terms of his speed, I didn't get the sense in that lower body, the body he's in right there, that he can run at relativistic speeds or travel himself. Now in his upper forms, I bet he does, because I remember reading something about how he traveled across the universe in just a few minutes or something like that. So that is insanely fast, you know, right there. But
well, his speed is weird because they never directly scale his speed. But we know it's at relativistic speeds right now because there's people, like I've mentioned before, like Seth the Programmer, who do power scaling, and they're like do all the measurements and shit like that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And he's at relativistic speeds right now. He's probably light speed as it is at this point in time. So this picture that you have right here, that's the next episode that would be coming up next in Kai.
Yeah.
So at this point right here, he's probably at relativistic speeds right there alone. But when it comes to traveling across the universe, that specific quote right there refers to the Angel Whis. The Angel Whis travels across the universe in a few minutes. Goku can do it instantly because of instant transmission. So whenever Goku's ever traveled across the universe, it's always immediate. That's why Goku's speed scaling is weird, because he has that instantaneous movement, is what it's called in the Japanese version. So it's not like he's moving through space. He's literally popping out of one spot and popping into the other. And like that leads to a lot of cool combinations, which I really love as a martial artist, because as a martial artist, you should always feint or set up some of your bigger attacks. You know what I mean? If you're gonna throw a big ass heavy leg kick, you know what I mean? Set it up with something so in case you get checked, you don't break your fucking leg, right? Yeah. So Goku does that. And you'll see later on, he uses the Kamehameha combined with the instantaneous movement. And so he'll charge at the Kamehameha, pop out of one spot, pop up right in front of you, and then blow you away with it. You know what I mean? So his speed is weird. It's weird to measure that.
By the way, Ash Blackwind was kind of wondering, because in that previous text he had there, he was wondering if Alita's suicidal after Hugo died. In the movie, I didn't get the sense that she was suicidal, because had she been suicidal, and she just lost her love, when his arm broke, when she was trying to pull him up, she might just let go of the sword and said, hell with it, I've lost Hugo, so there's no reason for me to live, so just let go of it, and she falls too. Now the one thing about that too is that she survived a fall from Zalem, or even worse, it might have been from Jeru. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And she survived that. So even if she had let go of that sword, she still might have survived, so, or the blade as it was sticking in the supply tube. So, but I just don't get the feeling that she's suicidal. I get the feeling that after that happened, it just intensified her hate for Nova, and that she is determined to get him, and that's kind of the way I see it. But anyway, Ash, that's what I think, and that's the Creek's opinion.
I don't think she's suicidal. I just think that at certain points she just kind of almost gives up until she's motivated out of that funk. You know what I mean?
Like, and that's a very human trait too, isn't it? I mean, it's exactly. Now, one thing. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
I was going to say, just the example of that is when she fought her clone, her number 2. Yeah, she wasn't suicidal, but she was accepting of death until she was motivated out of it. You know what I mean? And then she was like, okay, I do have a reason. But yeah, go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
No, I was just gonna. I was gonna go back into Goku there, but if you got some more about Alita, we want to hear it.
I'm here to talk about both, so it
doesn't
matter to me.
Well, anyway, one thing that I have seen, I haven't. I've only watched the episodes that we've watched. Plus, I've watched 2 of the episodes of that original Dragon Ball from when he was a little boy. But his ability to power up is just freaking insane. It's just how in this form right here that he's in, that's extremely powerful right there. But there are 6 levels above this. We're going to get to that the next slide, because it's similar to Alita's bodies. He doesn't have a different body, but he obtains more power, But anyway, like Alita, Alita getting trained in Panzerkunst, Goku has been trained initially by Master Roshi, and of course when he was younger, him and Krillin were taking those martial arts classes, and then eventually Goku dies, I guess the first time, I think it was, wasn't it then? And King Kai trains him, and and he learns a lot more there, and he becomes even more powerful, So, so in a way, it's kind of similar to her Panzerkunst, although I would think that I don't think her Panzerkunst has enabled her to have the strength of 100 men. So, so I don't think that works there for her. But it's kind of similar in that regard. In one of those with King Kai, he has to die first. In the Master Roshi thing, that's he just basically he's a young guy, and he learns. He learns how to do karate or that martial art.
With Goku's martial art, it's kind of strange because it kind of depends on what dub you watch. I know that what we generally call it when it comes to Master Roshi's training is the Turtle Hermit style. You know what I mean? On my garage door where my gym is, I got a little sign that says Turtle Hermit Martial Arts. You know what I mean? Turtle School Martial Arts. I don't know, I just thought it was really cool. I put it there. But Master Roshi doesn't really, if you watch that art, Master Roshi doesn't really teach Goku how to fight. He just makes him stronger. Where Goku actually learned how to fight was his grandfather Gohan, who he named his kid after. And in the English dub, I don't remember what he says in the Japanese version here, but in the English dub, there's a funny scene where he meets Oolong, who's in the form of a giant monster, and this giant monster says, "Oh yeah, kid, I have the strength of 100 men. I can beat you. Why aren't you scared of me?" And he goes, and Goku's response in the English dub was, "Because I learned karate from my grandpa." So depending on which dub you use, it's karate that he learned. But technically, since Master Roshi was grandfather Gohan's master as well, Roshi's like 500 years old. It could still be Turtle School martial arts as well. So I think that's the best way to put what Goku's style is.
It just occurred to me, Den, that with Goku, if you were to fight Goku, Muay Thai kicking him in the legs not going to have much effect, is it?
No, my leg would probably break.
Leg kicks not going to work with him.
Not to mention that human bodies have a sort of ceiling, if you will, in how finite they can improve, or on how sharp their reflexes can be. A Saiyan body doesn't have that ceiling, and that's where their strength that's where their strength is. They can keep on improving and improving.
It seems like every time they nearly get killed, doesn't it? He gets stronger every time.
Now that's already, as we know, that's already part of the Dragon Ball lore. But even if we didn't know about that,
near death. Go ahead.
But even if we didn't know that, or we didn't realize that, you're still he can still do a bicep curl 1,000 times, and then eventually there'll be a point where Krillin wouldn't be able to curl anymore, or he just wouldn't get any stronger from it. Whereas Goku, he'll just keep on increasing the weights, and there's no ceiling to how heavy he would be able to curl, I guess.
I think that I wouldn't say that the humans in Dragon Ball have a ceiling, because they're still pretty fucking strong in their own right. You know what I mean? I'd say by the end, by the Buu art, Krillin's at least a Super Saiyan. You know what I mean? In strength, maybe not completely there, but I just think it's the rate that they improve at, because we know that the hierarchy goes humans, then it goes probably Namekians, what Piccolo is, because Piccolo gets pretty fucking strong in the show too. And then it goes Saiyans, and then half human, half Saiyan. We know that half human, half Saiyans are actually stronger than both humans and Saiyans, and they have stupid potential. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's the ceiling, but the rate at which they improve. And then we also know that the thing that makes Goku special is two things. Not necessarily his inherent strength, which he does have because he's a Saiyan, but compared to other Saiyans, what he has is, one, a willingness to improve, whether that means winning or losing. You know, with a lot of Saiyans, it was about winning and conquering. With Goku, it wasn't about winning or losing. It was about the experience. So if Goku loses, he's still happy as long as he got something out of it. Yeah. And then the second thing was his attitude, his approach to life, which allowed him to get trained by higher and higher teachers, you know, eventually gods and angels, you know. So those are the two things that set Goku apart. Not necessarily completely his physical potential, but as what Vegeta says at the end of the series, it's his approach to a fight that made him better than Vegeta, not necessarily inherent potential.
Yeah.
Well, that too.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
let me welcome Kunstler99 and then hold that thought, Angelus. How's it going, Kunstler?
Good. How's it going, everyone?
Oh, good. Glad you joined us. Anyway, Angelus, go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Oh, that's right. Just to continue on to what Den said, like you don't see the other Saiyans wanting to improve because they have that arrogance. Like Goku will either train to improve himself or find a way to train to improve himself. Like he's not. I guess he didn't get raised in a Saiyan environment, which is why he doesn't have that attitude, whereas Vegeta did.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, that's actually specifically it right there. He says that a few times in the Namek arc. He's a Saiyan who was raised on Earth, and that sets him apart from the other Saiyans. And you know, like Vegeta said, of course, it's his approach to a fight that sets him up for. It basically sets him up for wins as opposed to losses.
Yeah.
But even if he theoretically loses a fight, he still, well, like Creek said, he still wins. Or like you said, sorry, he'll still win because if he gets something out of it, what is he exactly losing?
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's how it should be. As a martial artist, you know what I mean? That's unless, you know, you go on the streets and pick a fight with some dude in the fucking alley. If you lose that shit, you're just a fucking dumbass. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, anyway, with Goku, you know, another thing he can do is he can project energy. So, which is pretty impressive, I think. I mean, it's more powerful than Alita's plasma. I mean, she can manipulate plasma and stuff like that. And she doesn't need the Damascus blade. I think somebody was wondering about that in the chat. But no, she doesn't need the Damascus blade for her plasma to work for her. But Goku, he can project high energy beams. You know, I mean, you know, from his hands, and that right there is pretty cool, I think. So.
Well, let's not downplay Alita's plasma. Her plasma is still pretty fucking strong, especially in the manga.
Hell yeah.
In the film, we don't really get to see her use it a lot. We see her just use it with the blade. But in the manga, she does things like create barriers. You know what I mean? Like, I guess magnetize barriers against explosions. And she calls lightning down from the sky. Not calls it down, but like she attracts lightning in a lightning storm.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like she's pretty damn strong. You know what I mean with that plasma.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Well, one thing that kind of reminds me of that is when she's in volume 2 of Last Order, when she dealing with that monster or basically that giant robot that was made of like that nanomachines that couldn't be cut with the monomolecular wire. Yeah, like where that thing turned into this just giant fireball that was like the sun.
Yeah,
and she was able to kind of manipulate that and reverse the magnetism and like shower him with like that all that plasma. So, like again, I think in reality, if she wanted to grow one of those herself, I think ideally she could, if she kind of contained the plasma that she was creating to kind of have a similar effect. I just don't think her style in doing that. But yeah, I think that is incredibly strong. But when you look at kind of what is my limited knowledge of Dragon Ball, which is next to none. But I mean, it seems like that's almost like at will he could do.
And adding to what you're saying. Later in Last Order, when she fights, I think it's Toji. She's fighting in the Zot tournament. I think it's about. I think it's that chapter. I can't specifically remember exactly when it was, but I think it was when she's fighting Toji.
Yeah.
He does similar things to what Goku does at the Kamehameha, because he doesn't just shoot it with beam from his hands like a beam. He's used it as a launcher. You know, back before Goku could fly, he shot Kamehamehas out of his feet in order to use it as a rocket booster. And then in the Tournament of Power, you see a very, very brief scene where they weren't allowed to fly. So what Goku did was an enemy fired energy blast at Goku, and Goku put tiny Kamehamehas at his feet and used them kind of like as skates to ride up the energy waves. And Alita does something somewhat similar to that when she's fighting Toonpo. She puts little plasma balls under her feet and launches herself into Toonpo. I think I'm pretty sure it was him. It was in her cat body. And you know what I mean? So she's done similar things that kind of what Goku's done with the Kamehameha, because the Kamehameha at the end of the day, it's not something necessarily special. It's just energy manipulation. There's different forms of that in Dragon Ball. You know, you can do almost anything you can think of, and you can do with energy manipulation. And it's kind of how Alita's plasma works in the manga.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't consider what she did in the manga. That's very good points. I mean, she actually formed like a barrier around Toji too, where she was trying to crush him, and she was standing on top of it and trying to crush him with that, I guess. So that was pretty impressive, I guess, in the in the Zot, So
yeah, and even if you think about it, going back to volume, was it volume?
Yeah, back.
Was it end of volume 1 when basically and when Makaku dies, basically there's that giant explosion underground, and basically they're like suspended, and she's able to manipulate it because it's a type of plasma.
Yeah, the gas explosion.
Right, and obviously that's when we kind of got his backstory a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's very kind of similar thing where it was that barrier.
Yeah,
and you do see that in Dragon Ball, the use of key barriers. You know what I mean? So, like I said, she would fit right in. Like there's not really much, and that's what I like about Dragon Ball is the fact that there's really not much that Goku can do that other characters can't do. You know what I mean? Everyone can do it. It's just that Goku does it so much that he's better at it than everyone else, and that's why I said Alita would fit in very well because I mean, call it plasma, call it chi energy, call it anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's an analog for it there, and all she would have to
Dan?
You might cut out if you can still
do.
hear
She
us.
wanted to, I guess, get on Goku's level. It's just, how's it going? So like I said, they're very similar in those manners.
That's what I was saying. You cut out during the middle part of what.
Yeah, we missed some of that.
Go ahead. Don't worry.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess now I looked at some because I've only seen just very little of Dragon Ball, just with you and Dan, you and Angelus, but I looked on there's a wiki page on Goku, and
spoiling the show for yourself, huh?
Yeah,
cheating.
Well, no, I wanted to do a little research for the stream here, but
I feel like you've cheated on me.
No, I didn't. I only wanted to get a few high points, But anyway, are we back to this immorality thing now that we talked about?
Yes, the immorality of the creek.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, but one of the things that had in there was Goku is considered, or at least it said this in that wiki thing, that he is one of Earth's greatest defenders. Now, I don't get the sense, and just from what I've seen so far, that he considers himself, like Earth's greatest defender or something. I mean, I think he has a very good intention. I think he's as a character, a person. He's good at heart. He wants to do the right thing and all that. But I don't see him like, say, maybe Superman, or let's say someone like Captain America or something like that. I don't see Goku thinking that about himself, although I don't think either one of them think that too. But when you tend to think of those guys in the DCEU and the MCU, it's like, yeah, they're superheroes and that they're good, and there's good and evil and stuff like that. He's more like someone who's just a guy, who wants to do the right thing, but he has a lot of power, but he's a guy, he's a father, he's a husband, and he has a drive to do the right thing. He wants to protect, friends and family and stuff like that. But he doesn't have this grandeur, like you would think of a superhero. And I may be wrong about that, but
no, I think you're spot on with that. He's morally good. Yes, he would. You've seen those Dungeon and Dragon kind of things where it's like chaotic neutral and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He would end up on chaotic good. You know what I mean? If you were to put him on that scale. The thing about him is that, like you said, he is just a guy. One of my favorite parts is in the original Dragon Ball, where Piccolo was still a bad guy, and everyone thinks that he's fighting Piccolo to defeat the bad guy, but he's not fighting Piccolo to defeat the bad guy. He's fighting Piccolo because Piccolo challenged him in the tournament, and for the entire franchise, he's been trying to win this fucking tournament, and he's lost every single time he's entered this tournament. He's been sabotaged, so he wants to finally win the tournament. So he's Piccolo's about to land a huge shot on him, and God, Kami, intervenes and saves Goku's life. And Goku goes, wait, what the fuck are you doing? No, fuck that. Piccolo, reset and then come and punch me in the face, because this isn't about saving the Earth for me. This is about winning the tournament. And if I have someone intervene for me, then I lose the tournament. And at the end of it, he doesn't kill Piccolo, because if he kills Piccolo, he loses the tournament. You know what I mean? And Kami dies as well. So you see that in the show, like at the end of the original Dragon Ball, you see that over and over and over again. It wasn't necessarily about saving the world. It was about winning the tournament, winning the fight. And Goku does want to save the world, but it's not his top priority. I mean, you see that later on in the Majin Buu arc, where he tries to, have the world save itself and things like that,
Yeah. Well, you get that feeling like with Captain America, it's almost like he's, I won't say goody two shoes, but it's like he's got this he's got this superhero shtick about him, Yeah. What are you doing, Dan? Are you moving or something?
I'm about to put some chicken in the smoker because my wife.
Oh, I see. Okay, because sounds like you're moving to another house or something. You're moving furniture.
I'm doing a whole bunch of shit on stream, man. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm trying to be quiet.
No, it's okay. So. But anyway, yeah, he doesn't have that well, he does. He is morally good and all that, we know, but he doesn't have that sense of grandeur of being the Earth's greatest defender. Kind of like in that movie, the Avengers, the first one, where Tony Stark calls the Avengers the Earth's greatest heroes or something like that.
Yeah,
he doesn't think like that. At least I haven't seen him think like that so far. So.
No, he lets. I mean, you can count in the entire franchise on one hand how many times Goku's actually stopped a robber or something like that. He lets the cops handle that stuff. Like Krillin actually goes on to become a cop, which I think is funny. Goku only helps him with the bank robbery once, and then Goku's son Gohan, when he grows up, he goes on to become a superhero, and the rest of the cast laugh at him because they think he's goofy. You know what I mean? So it's like he doesn't go out and fight crime, because that's not really a challenge. He allows the Earth to handle its own affairs. Now, of course, he doesn't want bad things to happen to people. There was a time where the military tried to fight one of the big bads, and Goku got upset about that. But you know what I mean? It's not his thing to go and interfere and things like that.
Yeah. Well, one thing about Goku I noticed very much like Alita, that he's got that same kind of perseverance and determination, doesn't he? In other words, it's kind of like you were saying. I think all of us would agree. Well, I don't know if Kunstler doesn't know that much about Dragon Ball, maybe, but win, lose, or draw, when he fights, he's got that focus, doesn't he? He wants to achieve. He wants to get better, and he's absolutely determined to do it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so he's very much like Alita in that regard.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say so. And that's the thing, it really does set up for a lot of the other shonens, that come afterwards.
Yeah. Okay, well, anyway, and Dan, you probably know more about this than any of us, but here's I forget where I downloaded this, but what I've seen of Goku so far is that his power level that we see right now in in Dragon Ball Z Kai is that first one on the left. But he has the ability to power up, doesn't he, somehow? And I don't know how he does that. Maybe you could explain that, because this is kind of similar to what Alita does when she gets different bodies.
Well, the way I've always seen powering up and stuff like that, it's just digging deeper. You know what I mean? Like, think about it, right? You do a 3-rep max, right? A set of a 3-rep max or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But then you feel like, I could have dug deeper on that one, so I'm going to push myself harder. Hold on, let me get my dogs.
Okay.
Well, let's just say you'll find out soon enough how he powers up. Yeah,
but to Den's point, like yesterday, I was doing a training session, and we did a 1-rep max, of a bench press, and even though I got the bench press, even though I made it, I wasn't happy with how I did it. I mean, it would have counted and all that stuff, but it was kind of an asymmetric lift and stuff like that. And I wasn't happy with it. And I kind of want to dig deeper. That's kind of the way I see Goku. If he does something and he's not happy with it, he's gonna do whatever he can to make it better next time, I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think that's what the powering up really is. It's just kind of like a cartoonish, more narratively friendly symbol of digging deeper. That's what that is.
Yeah. What about this Goku on the far right over there? What is that?
That's more biological.
That's a Super Saiyan. That'll be something that we'd talk about way down the line. Like it's not even worth getting into that.
Okay. But this is very much like Alita's different bodies, isn't it? I mean, in some ways.
In some ways, yeah, having different forms, different representations of the character. I guess the what that is Alita changing bodies and Goku changing forms. It's kind of like I guess the artist's way of representing growth. You know what I mean? So you can kind of see where the character is now compared to where they were before. And I talked about this in my Alita video. You see where she is near the end of Last Order, and she looks completely different. Everything's different. She's in fucking space. She's fighting this guy who seemingly has psychic powers and things like that. And you see where she was at the very beginning, where she didn't even have arms and legs and was sitting on Ito's back in a little backpack. And you see, like, wow, damn, how do we get all the way here? You know what I mean? Look at how far we've come with this character.
Well, does his now? I don't want to spoil anything here, but what is his power level like as he goes from level to level? Is it like a quantum leap, or is it a 10% increase, or what is it?
It's stupid. It's ridiculous. Actually, pretty soon Toriyama stops counting power levels because it just gets too crazy.
So what I'm hearing from you then, it's like an order of magnitude from one to the next, right?
Yeah, so think about it like this. Kaioken already multiplies him by 2 to 3 times to 4 times, right? You've seen up to 4 times.
Yeah.
And then he actually gets up to 20 times. So if Super Saiyan is stronger than Kaioken, and Kaioken already goes up to 20 times, you can imagine where Super Saiyan goes.
Well, Super Saiyan, that's him on the far right then, isn't it?
You'll have to see.
Okay,
you've already kind of gotten into spoiler territory. For
I know.
You were the one guy on Earth that had never seen anything from the show.
Well, I've seen bits and pieces over the years, but I've never really watched it. I mean, my youngest stepson knew a little bit about this, but even he wasn't a big time fan. He didn't watch it all the time. So
the only thing I will spoil for you, which is probably like the most I can mitigate it from the spoiler perspective, is the form on the very far right. You've seen Gohan and Vegeta turn into monkeys.
Yes, I've seen that.
Think of the form on the far right as a different form of monkey.
Okay.
And that's all I'll say about it.
Okay.
The point where he achieves that form, you'll understand what I mean if you still remember these words by then.
Okay.
So, and just because I'm curious, because I have never sat down and watched it except for that one time when I was on like the after stream with you guys.
Yeah.
So would it be more so? You know how like you have a what was it called, like a logarithmic graph, where or basically like once it goes like from like 1 to 10 and then to 100, then like So
I would say this is more exponential. I mean, if he powers up, by order of magnitude as he goes down to the right, that's not just logarithmic. That is, it's like Dan says, it's stupid. It's just stupid power.
Which, and I guess I was gonna say like exponential as far as
there you go.
Next level, you just multiply yourself by yourself, and then you get
the power gets really crazy. What they call it now, because shonen is now a defined genre within anime, is they call it power creep. And I guess it's a problem, and it's a problem with every shonen anime out there. And there are other shonens that try to rectify that problem by bringing in different narrative elements other than just this villain is stronger than the last villain. Dragon Ball doesn't give a shit about any of that. Dragon Ball just says, no, we're fucking getting stronger, bitch. That's it. That's why I love that show.
Okay. Yeah, the one thing I would say, what's the name of those guys that kind of came to reinforce Frieza? It's a crew of them.
The Ginyus?
Yeah. It's kind of hilarious what they are. Now, they're pretty powerful, as characters in that show, but it's like they're almost as concerned about their poses, as they are fighting.
And that was the whole joke. So when you watch the original version, they dive a little bit more into that. It was making fun of like the Sentai genre in Japan and Western superheroes at the time, because like I said, there was a lot of like posing and crazy shit, and Toriyama was like, this doesn't have anything to do with fighting though. You know what I mean? And that was kind of the joke,
Kind of like Kata.
I'd say kind of like Kata in a way. If you want to take a shot at David.
No, I wasn't a shot at David. I think, my brother and I were talking about that today when we were at brunch, I guess is where we were. We were talking about how Kata, is it's fine for folks that are learning moves and trying to learn to put moves together, and they're new to this to the martial art or whatever, and it that kind of gives them a little bit of a feel for the flow and all that. But the idea that kata is going to save your butt if you get in a fight is really a bad one. And we were talking about in our style, Kenpo karate, he actually, there's a whole bunch of different forms, and I don't know how many. It's somewhere like 40 or something like that, and you have to learn them all. He said that there's probably 20 of them that might be somewhat effective in a fight, but it wouldn't be exact, So,
I've got a thing about that, and this is definitely going slightly off topic, but
it's all right.
In a way that we can sort of circle back onto it again.
Yeah.
For those that have watched the video of Alita's VFX. Excuse me, just 1 second.
He's koofing.
I think he's about to talk about the mirror punch scene where she does the snake creeps down and does.
No, slightly different.
Okay.
You'll hear Nick Epstein say like there are certain phrases that they got Rosa to say, so that they can map out how her facial muscles and even her lips move as she says those words. And they come up with these, or they made her say these phrases because it's actually based on some sort of science that I forget what they call it. But they got to say so that they can map out like the full range of movement of what a mouth would look like as they're saying certain words or phonetics.
Yeah.
And that's how I see, or at least now anyway, that's how I see kata, is that it wouldn't save you in a fight, but it trains your body to move in that sort of fashion.
Yes.
So that like where kata stops and your instinct / reflexes take over, like you're actually capable of doing that. And in a way, it's the same like even hitting someone. You can hit someone, but it probably wouldn't hurt them because you're not conditioned to like the feedback or the force of when you hit something. That energy is going to come back at you. And then throw back in, like travel back through your body again. And if you're not conditioned to do that, then it's going to hurt you as much as you hurt him. Like if you don't form your fist tight enough.
You want to know what I think is 100 times better than kata? I think kata has its limited uses. I would even go a little bit further to say kata is mostly useful for, like, say you have a student who's more obese, like really has not moved in a long time and can't do really high impact workouts. You know what I mean? Like say they're too large to run. You know what I mean? That's the kind of student that would benefit greatly from kata. A lot of the kids classes, kata is very good because you've got a bunch of kids running around. It's like herding cats. You know what I mean? So kata is a very good way to get them to learn the movements and create the neurological connections. But I would say for anyone who's like, say, a teenager and up, especially when it comes to like more contact on contact kind of forms of martial arts, like say boxing or Muay Thai, shadow boxing. Infinitely better because of the fact that it's free flow. You can kind of get in the rhythm and the pace of a fight, or you can kind of like tone it down to try to drill specific techniques. Like when I talked about leg kicking, conditioning my opponent to check, drawing a check with a feint, and then catching their leg and sweeping them. That's something that I did, and I drilled in shadow boxing over and over and over again until I was able to finally implement that in sparring and do it live with a resisting opponent. You know what I mean? I think shadow boxing actually does what kata is supposed to do, but much, much better.
I know in art we don't in the karate style that I'm still a black belt even though I don't practice, but still I think what we didn't call it kata, we just called them dances. And like our instructor would say something like do basic dance 2 until I say stop. And what he would do is he would make us go where you'd have to throw those punches and kicks, and it's not rigid like you would think of like Taekwondo or Shotokan or something like that. It's almost like Kung Fu, but not quite, because we do have powerful punches and stuff like that, kicks. But you had to execute those with power, like you were really hitting somebody or kicking them. And he'd make us do that for like 20 to 30 minutes before he'd say stop. And man, you would be drained after that. You would be exhausted, So in that regard, kata, if you did it like that, would be a really good conditioning thing, not so much the techniques for fighting, which you'd execute like kicks and punches you'd use in fighting. But I mean the sequence. But what I'm saying is that, doing it like that for ultra conditioning, I think that's another good thing you can do with kata if you do it that way. Now, if you just do it, like I've seen, I'm not going to mention the style, but I've seen where folks do that 4 corners thing. You probably have seen it, Dan, on YouTube. To me, that thing's absolutely worthless. I mean, I just don't, where they kind of step in one box and the other, and they do it slow, and they only do it a few times. And what's that teaching you? It's not teaching you anything. So anyway,
that's where I agree with Dan in the fact that kata has its limited uses, because there's a definite ceiling where kata just stops being useful. You have to find other means to continue to push yourself even further beyond. I feel like I'm quite Dragon Ball.
I told my brother. My brother made some years ago. He made a DVD for me. Because when I moved to North Carolina, I didn't have anybody to train with or anything like that. But so he made this DVD for me, and so I could see his techniques. And the way he does the techniques is different. And what he does is he's factoring in his own personal style. into this to make it what he thinks is more effective. He doesn't do the kata exactly like, we were taught. Now, because I'd look at it and I'd say, wait a minute, that's not right. But he was doing it in a different, he was factoring in his own personal, training method or whatever you want to call it, So anyway, we got way off topic here, I guess.
Yeah, I could talk about martial arts for a long time.
Well, we're not too far off topic because Goku and Alita both do martial arts.
Yeah.
So,
and you got to remember, it was my job to teach this stuff for a long time,
Yeah.
Here's my number one thing that I think everyone should take away from this. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I literally get hate every time I say this, but it's the truth.
I hate you.
Here's the thing. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. A lot of martial arts try to reinvent the wheel, and people don't understand. I'm going to get hate for this. A lot of kung fu styles, karate, taekwondo are new. People like to say they're ancient, but they're new.
Well, wushu,
especially
it's ancient, but yeah,
especially taekwondo, right? Because when we used to do our oral stuff, oral testing, a lot of our shit was coming from like the 1950s and the 1800s.
Yes.
If you want to look at an ancient martial art, boxing, wrestling, MMA. Yeah. Those we can trace back to Greece specifically, and they come from even older. There's actually what the fuck is that a civilization where they have the first book? I forgot what it's called, but anyway, those martial arts trace their lineage back to then. And honestly, we were just talking about how after kata is good up to a certain point for certain kinds of people. Then after that, you have to find a new way in order to push yourself. And then David was talking about, hitting someone is different than hitting air. Of course, you're going to get feedback. You know what I mean? Your energy is not just going to, there's an opposite reaction for every force you give out. So of course, as hard as you hit them, your hand's going to have to take that kind of force. Well, boxing has solved all these issues. MMA has solved all these issues. Wrestling has solved all these issues. It's called a heavy bag or hitting pads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A heavy bag is very between the heavy bag, the speed bag. Actually, if you just look at my garage, it's literally pretty much almost all you would need. You know what I mean? You go to a lot of MMA gyms and they don't even have any bags at all. You know what I mean? Just people and pads. So that's just something I would like people to take away from.
Yeah, my brother's got a heavy bag in his garage and he works out on it all the time. So
super important. Yeah, now it's limited. You can't do everything on the heavy bag.
But
heavy
you get
bag
that feedback, don't you? You do.
You get feedback.
Yeah.
And shadow boxing to me is one of the most important things. I've talked about this too with shooting as well. You get a lot of your shooting training with dry fire, not on the range, but sitting at home and going through dry runs, dry practice, because that's where you make your neurological connections to make things, to figure out where the sweet spot is, to figure out what feels correct. You know what I mean? It's honestly, and you see this in Dragon Ball, right? You see Goku. How many times is Goku actually lifting weights? He does lift weights in the show. But most of the time, Goku's shadow boxing. I would even call what Alita was doing, not necessarily a form, but shadow fighting. That right there to me is probably some of the most valuable training,
Yeah.
And what I'll say, and this will actually circle back into the topic, is that I will say one of the things that the Dragon Ball did, they didn't do it to combat. It's more of a narrative thing than anything, but there's one particular villain that has, I wouldn't say is faster, but I think can manipulate time in an aspect.
Are you talking about Hit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. That's one of my favorite fights. Go ahead.
And Goku's got to deal with that. Like, it's not just about moving faster than the enemy and then hitting him harder than the enemy.
Yeah.
Hit in particular has such a unique ability that Goku has to find a way around that. And I think the best example in Alita would be probably the Zerkban fight, because she knows what the Berserker body can do. She knows what it's capable of.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, Japan is doing all these tricks with the Berserker body that she wasn't aware of. Whether it's because of her experience or she just never tried it, I think it does explain it in hindsight, but she didn't know it at the time. So she has to find a way around that, and eventually she does.
Yeah.
But And
go ahead.
That's how I'll circle it back into the topic. And as I touched upon earlier, there's going to be tricks that the enemy will know and can do that you just won't learn from training. You just won't learn from kata or even shadow boxing. Like it'll condition your body to be able to perform them, but I don't think it'll be able to teach you the kind of tricks that actual combat experience can teach you.
Yeah, Angelus, you just reminded me of something very funny. I remember when I first started, when I got up to say like brown belt, and we started, I fought in my first tournament, I'm out there sparring, and this guy hits me with a roundhouse kick, and I went, what the hell was that? So we, because in our style, we don't have roundhouse kicks. So all of us, after we fought in a couple of tournaments, we started doing roundhouse kicks, and that was a trick that was a technique that we used or learned that we picked up from somebody else that wasn't in our style, So anyway, I'm
gonna disagree just slightly with David when it comes to that. So the sheer volume that I'd say fighters, for example, right, put into shadow boxing, hitting pads, hitting the heavy bag, hitting the double end bag, hitting the speed bag, that kind of stuff. I think that does suit you up especially well for a fight with Goku and Hit, right? Where the enemy's doing things that you've never seen before. Your adaptability, so there's that Bruce Lee quote where it says, "I don't fear the fighter that knows 10,000 kicks. I fear the fighter that has practiced the same kick 10,000 times."
Yeah.
And when you do something over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, you get pretty creative with it, and you learn how to implement it in ways that you would have never thought of before, right? And this is why a lot of people don't understand boxing, right? You get so many people who say, well, Conor McGregor can go into boxing and beat up Floyd Mayweather, and it's like, no, motherfucker.
No.
You don't understand. Floyd Mayweather has been boxing for decades and beating the best. You think that boxing is limited because it only uses these two weapons and McGregor's going to come in with something that Floyd's never seen. No, when it comes to these two weapons, Floyd has seen and done everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that actually makes you more creative as a martial artist. And that's what you see with Goku, right? Because Hit was not necessarily a martial artist. Hit was an assassin. And his whole thing is he never really had a fair one-on-one fight because his whole thing is that he can skip a fraction of a second into the future, right? He can time skip. And so he never had a one-on-one fight, which is why Goku impressed him so much, and he wanted to have a one-on-one fight with Goku. It was Goku's adaptability to the fight that blew Hit's mind, and Hit was like, okay, now I want to see more of what you can do. How can you adapt to this? And Goku was, to kind of spoil it, what would happen was Goku would throw a strike, feint it, and Hit would react in a certain way. He would watch how Hit would react. So he'd try to get Hit to react in a specific way, and then Goku would change what he would do at the last second so that he would come out on top of the little skirmish. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to explain, but when you watch the show, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. And it was things like that. It's that kind of adaptability that only comes from repetition. Yeah. You know what I mean? Hitting the heavy bag, shadow boxing, that kind of stuff. I implore you, seriously, if you think that I'm kind of like off on that, go shadow box. Do 10 rounds a day. Get 100 rounds a weekend, right? And you know what I mean? Like get to that kind of volume right there, and then you'll see your creativity just skyrocket, and then you'll do things in sparring that you never thought of before. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like what Alita did too. And I think it might have been you that brought this up, Dan, but the previous stream. But there was that one scene where she does that kung fu technique called the snake creeps down, and it's a classic.
You're talking about in the mirror?
Yeah, near the mirror. She does this classic technique, from traditional kung fu martial arts type stuff, and then when she gets out in the alley, she just starts pounding them. She just pounded Romo into the dirt. Killed him with just the old, just a flying sidekick, and then just pounded him until he was dead. So
and you're absolutely correct there. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's just no. Go ahead.
No, it's all right.
But it's just that kind of creativity only comes from volume. You know what I mean? And you might think it locks you into one kind of style. Somewhat it could, but that's where you have to branch out and expose yourself to new things. You know what I mean? And like I said, that's what made Goku a better fighter than everyone else in the show. It's mostly just his obsession.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The fact that he can't hold a job. You know what I mean? And while everyone else is working, he's thinking about fighting and new ways to get stronger. You know what I mean?
Which is probably why Chi-Chi is mad at him all the time.
Exactly. Well, and then in the show, they do things like, oh, we just fell into the lottery, so now we've got $1 million. Now, Goku, you don't need a job for the next year. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. But you know, and you'll see things like this in the this is kind of a spoiler, right? Where they decided that, okay, we need to break the Super Saiyan plateau. Vegeta's solution for that was just train harder. That's it. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm say you're at a plateau for your max bench, right?
Yeah.
Well, Vegeta's solution was just bench more. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas Goku's solution was, okay, just benching more can actually be harmful to me. Just putting more weight on the bar can be harmful to me. What if I benched lower weights at higher reps for a while and just trained at a very low pace for maybe a few weeks or maybe a month or something like that, and then come back to trying to do heavy lifts? You know, I don't know.
Or do something like progressive overload too. You know, that's one thing weightlifters. You know, you might drop. You know, like for instance, one of the things I do. I don't want to get too far off of this because
go ahead, because I like talking about training.
Yeah. But anyway, but it's not that. It's just. Like, for instance, what I do, I don't lift heavy all the time. You know, what I do is I'll lift heavy, one day or something like that. Or maybe for a week, I'll lift heavy. And then the next week, I just lift really light. You know, like, for instance, I might do deadlift. Maybe I might do like 275 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the next week I might do like 315, or I might do 335 or something like that. And then I might go back and then just do something like 225, but I'll do it 10 times. You know, something. Yeah. That's kind of the way I train now. You know, so.
Being creative and training, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so Vegeta's solution was, I just need to bench heavier, harder every single day. You know what I mean?
No.
And whereas Goku was like, you know what we're going to do? Instead of pushing our training hard, we're going to go back to the basics. He says it's to Gohan. He says, we're going to go back to the basics. We're going to start from a crawl, but we're going to do it to where we stay in our Super Saiyan form the entire time. We're going to even learn how to sleep in our Super Saiyan form. And we're just going to take it very, very slow at a walking pace until we can bring it back up to our regular training pace. Yeah. And then when they did that, they basically made Super Saiyan their base form. And then from there, they were able to progress. Yeah. And it blew Vegeta's fucking mind to even do something like that, to even think about it like that. And that's what I mean by the creativity of repetition. You know, you do it so much that you're able to look at attack problems in different ways and overcome them in different ways from just hit it harder, you know?
Yeah. Well, I want to move on to comparing. Well, first of all, I want to look at their nemesis. And of course, with Alita, her first primary, or her most dangerous nemesis to begin with, her first one was Grishka, of course. You know, he's a big hulking guy. You know, he's I think one of the things we saw with him is he was slow. You know, he wasn't. Alita was easily when she fought him, even in her doll body, she was able to dodge any punch he threw at her or something like that. Now he didn't really dodge too much the grind. She didn't dodge the grind cutter, very well. But at the end there, she kind of leaped at him. But she was faster than him, and I got the experience that she actually, she had better technique, or she was smarter at fighting than he was, where he was just like brute power, is what he was.
If you're talking about the film version, I mean, in no version was Grishka a fighter in any way. He wasn't a fighter. He was a person who comes into power. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's like the very, very large bully at school. You know what I mean? Yeah. So Alita was using fighting techniques in order to fight someone who's just out of her league. And luckily for her, he didn't know how to use that strength. You know what I mean? Because I know in the manga version, he's a lot more cunning than he is in the anime or the film version. So he gets a little more dangerous there. But it's still, even then, it's more or less the same thing. It's Alita using techniques to take down a much bigger and not smarter, but stronger opponent.
Yeah. Now, as opposite to that is Goku's nemesis Vegeta. This guy is a really good fighter, you know, and he's really he's powerful, you know. He's not like, in that regard, he's not like, it's kind of a different kind of threat with him and Goku as opposed to how Grishka is in the movie anyway with Alita. I mean, Vegeta is a very, very tough, you know, very accomplished fighter. You know, he's, you know, has lots of power. You know, he can shoot energy beams too. He's really, you know, durable. I mean, he can take a lot and still keep going, you know. So as opposed to Grishka, who's slow, not a very good fighter, you know, something like that. So I don't know. That's kind of the way I see the difference in these two characters, you know, in terms of being a nemesis for their, you know, their protagonists. So
I would say for a similarity, I would compare Grishka more to Frieza. Frieza is someone who is not a martial artist, not a fighter, but was born extremely powerful. Frieza is basically a demigod. He rules the universe. He's so powerful that at his weakest can destroy planets with his finger. He has somewhat not psychotic, but not psychometric, but you know what I mean, psychic kind of powers. You know, he's able to lift things and move things around with his mind. Whereas you know, with Goku and Vegeta, they're not using magical powers. You know what I mean?
Well, we're going to get to Frieza. We're going to get to him.
I would compare Frieza more to Grishka, and you see that too, because Frieza doesn't understand Goku, and the fact that he doesn't understand that Goku wants to fight someone stronger than him, and that bothers him. Actually, later in the series, Frieza mentions that it pisses him off, the fact that Goku does want challenges, and he wants Frieza to train and get stronger and shit like that.
Yeah, but I would say though that even in her doll body, you know, her and Grishka, they kind of trade a win or a loss, you know, and you know, whereas with Vegeta, you know, and that was in her doll body, which tells me it's kind of like you were saying that, you know, Grishka is not an accomplished fighter. You know, he's you know, he's just a big old hulking guy, you know, with a lot of strength, but he's not a fighter. Whereas Vegeta is a very strong guy, kind of like you know, probably in the same ballpark with Goku. And he is also an excellent fighter in addition to being strong and durable, you know. So I think what I'm trying to say is, I guess, the level of his threat to Goku is higher than the level of threat Grishka is to Alita when she's in her berserker body.
I would even say that Alita was a match for Grishka in her doll body. I would say that the only reason why Grishka in his second enhanced form, you know, was able to defeat Alita really well was just because of the fact that she was a little bit inexperienced. But if you just get a slightly more experienced Alita in the doll body, I think she destroys Grishka.
Plus he had those grind cutters. So that
you could, I mean, he was kind of pushing her back, you know, on her. He was kind of like pushing her, but I don't know. I think that if you had a slightly more experienced Alita, just tactically experienced Alita, in that doll body, she could beat Grishka easily, in my opinion.
Well, I think it's just because she couldn't remember a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
She was at a lower point in her progression. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think that she absolutely needed the berserker body to defeat him. You know, I just think that was what she needed at the moment.
I agree with that, but what I'm saying is, though, is that in her berserker body, Grishka is not the level of threat to her. As
I agree with you on that.
Is with Goku, you know.
Yeah, no, I completely agree on that. I was just adding to it that I was just adding the fact that, you know, I don't think that Grishka had fought a more experienced Alita. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would have been much worse for him.
Well, Vegeta is a Saiyan, so he's going to be tough, you know.
Yeah.
Now here's the ultimate right here. I guess the second part of this, and we mentioned Frieza already, but you know, they're also nemesis, you know, for Alita and Goku, you know. It's like you were saying, Frieza, he's a demigod, like you said. He's certainly wants to rule the universe, you know, he wants to do that. I don't get the sense that maybe Nova wants to do that, but I think Nova is kind of like he's biologically immortal. We've talked about that in the past. You know, plus he's got some things going for him, like Maxie was saying once, where he's got those nano nanites, you know, that are in the cloud, you know, where he can reconstruct himself, even if he gets gutted or he gets blown to smithereens or something like that, you know. So, but you know, they are kind of, in my opinion, I could be wrong. Y'all can chime in on this, but I think these two are higher level threats, you know, to like Alita and Goku than say are Gruishka and Vegeta. I don't know. What do you think?
We have to see what is going to happen in the sequels. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not 100% convinced. I'm 50-50 that Nova's going to stay like the ultimate baddie. You know what I mean? The ultimate bad guy. Because in the manga, he's not really a villain. He's kind of like in between.
Yeah.
He oscillates between being an antagonist and
he's just a guy.
Yeah.
Well, he's
Yeah.
certainly not an anti-hero, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He's not an anti-hero either, especially when you factor in Last Order. You know, there's definitely a villain at some points, but yeah, I would definitely, if for the film, they're definitely comparable. Because I mean, at this point in the film, I would say that Nova runs the scrapyard. He rules it. You know what I mean? And Frieza rules the universe. You know, anything he doesn't, which isn't directly under his control, he takes. You know. By the way, Dave, you got to mute yourself, man. But yeah, and then you know, there's kind of like, you know, like you said, you know, he's kind of like a demigod in his realm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know, in the manga, you know, Embody is, I'd say, even a bigger threat than Nova. You know, he's the guy that's got the 3 brain chips, and he's got a lot of other things going for him. You know, I guess. But
I really like him as a bad guy. By the way, I see what Kashiro is doing there, because a lot of the bad guys have been like imposing and large, like Den and Japan. Yeah, and Mabadi just looks like a dude. You know what I mean? His power lies elsewhere than size and strength.
And it's not like Toji either, right? Toji's just a competitor. He's in the zone, you know. And it's funny, you know, what I thought was really neat in the manga is how Toji and Alita have, you know, they have tea together.
Yeah, I really like that relationship with her and Toji.
Thing.
By the way,
yeah.
See, that's why I say that Alita would fit right in Dragon Ball. You know what I mean? Because it is kind of like a rivalrous relationship. That's kind of like the relationship Goku has with Hit later on in Dragon Ball Super. It's we fought before, but we don't hate each other. You know what I mean? We're rivals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, you see that scene where Toji and Alita first fight, and they come to have a lot of respect for each other.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And I really like that.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Whereas Frieza, go ahead, Kunstler.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say that was the one thing that, even without really watching Dragon Ball, that I can see the similarities is basically the competitiveness.
Yeah.
The wanting to win, even, you know, but like Motorball, like her competitiveness to win was still like, it's not like she was trying to kill anyone. She was trying to win the game. She was trying to win. She was trying to beat, you know, gosh.
You mean in the movie, right, Kunstler?
No, in the manga.
Oh, in the manga, okay.
Yeah, my
Jashigan, yeah,
Jashigan. My reference, when anyone talks about Alita, I think of the manga before I think of the movie, because it's that natural to me, because that's where it started for me.
Yeah, it was opposite for me. So anyway, but I do think of her in the manga too, though. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, and honestly, I think when you're looking at the similarities, most of those similarities are gonna be, you know, into volume 3 going forward in the manga. So even in the movie, like you'd almost have to be into the sequels to really see how close together these characters are.
Yeah.
Because that's when that stuff all starts. The competitiveness, the draw to combat that she just, without abandon, just leaps forward to, because she wants to experience it. She might be a little bit reckless, but she wants to get better pretty much no matter what.
That's very much like Goku, isn't it?
That was kind of a big plot element in the second chapter, if you remember, when she wanted to become a hunter warrior, and Ito was like, "No, you can't do it. You're just a little girl." And she's like, "No, motherfucker, I'm a 200-year-old fucking beast."
I just look like a little girl.
I think it intensifies once you get into the motorball arc. Like that's pretty much all she has left, is to basically dig into that and fight, win battles, and try to remember who she was.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the similarities pick up in Last Order. You know what I mean? Especially since it's a tournament arc, and the tournament arc was Dragon Ball's bread and butter. You know what I mean? Before Dragon Ball Z, you know what I mean? And
well, it's not just the motorball thing too. I mean, it's even a tournament thing when she gets into Zot in the last, the last volume, of the Last Order. So I mean, it in that regard, it's almost like Kishiro likes that competition, and how he wrote Alita. How she's always, she's similar to Goku in some ways. How she's drawn to conflict and she's got her Panzer.
She's a shonen-like.
Yeah.
She's a shonen-like protagonist, is the way I'd put it. You know what I mean? She's not a cliche in any way. I would never call Alita a cliche. She's a very unique character to me. Yeah. Maybe because I haven't read a lot of anime and manga. You know what I mean? That could be my problem. But to me, she's a unique character from my perspective. And like I said, she's a shonen-like character. And my favorite show happens to be a shonen. So, of course, I'm going to see the similarities.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, from everything I've seen when it comes to other manga that I've read, which granted is not a lot, but Alita is definitely a unique character. It's hard to compare character to almost any other property.
Yeah,
because of the depth that Kishiro wrote her story.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say this. Kishiro with Alita was able to touch on some of the things I liked about Goku without annoying me. Like, I don't know, I'm gonna get hate for this, right? But Naruto annoys me. Naruto was like literally not a Goku clone, but the orange gi, the yellow hair, that kind of stuff, the go get him attitude, the orphan status. That stuff was, of course, the creator said inspired by Goku, but he took like Goku's annoying traits and made a character. Same kind of. Not as much to the same degree, but like going from Hunter x Hunter, took a lot of the traits from Kid Goku, in my opinion, and made a character. And it's like those make me feel like the creator liked Dragon Ball but didn't really understand it. Whereas Kishiro kind of just, for me, it feels like he took a little bit of inspiration from Dragon Ball, but really made his own unique thing. And so it makes it so it's not, I don't know, it makes it feel like I'm not watching a cheap version of Dragon Ball. It makes it feel like I'm watching something unique that just has similarities,
Yeah,
it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I was watching Hunter x Hunter, and basically I just started watching season 5, which is starting off really slow. But no, you're right. When you were mentioning, like Goku, like trying to train and like try to be able to like sleep in like the Super Saiyan, like that, not mode, but like that state of energy or whatever. Like that's exactly what they do in Hunter x Hunter. Like as far as like their like level of like power, because like it's weird because you get to this level of the show even in Hunter x Hunter where there's like this power that they didn't know about that they learn, and then basically it's kind of mastering that in that like one particular season. So it's funny you mentioned it. It just totally reminds me of that part of Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, definitely. We started that show, me and my wife, because she loves anime, and I think we got through all of what they had on Netflix. So I don't think I got to that part, but it's not a bad show.
I've only watched it on Netflix, and season 5 just recently got released on there. So I'm up to what they released on there, and like because you remember when they were like at their auras, and they were like yeah. Because at some point, like they were training to do that throughout their sleep too.
So it does take a lot of inspiration, and I see that too. It's like the characters, like Gon's kind of like the Goku archetype. His friend, the white-haired guy, is kind of like the Vegeta archetype. The clown guy, that's Frieza. You know, the gay clown. You know, of course, it's a gay clown. That's Frieza. I mean,
white makeup.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and the tournament arc, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of similarities, and I'd say, like I said, Hunter x Hunter didn't bother me when my wife was watching that, but Naruto kind of did. I found Naruto to be pretty fucking annoying. I don't know what it is about that character.
If you want to really piss off the Naruto fans, just tell them the pirates are better than ninjas.
Oh, you're talking about One Piece?
Yeah.
I've never seen a single episode of that either. I hear it's good. A lot of the Dragon Ball fans fucking love One Piece. A lot of people say it's better, but I'm not going to watch 1,000 episodes. I am fucking sorry.
You don't want to get into that, have to get halfway in it. Oh my God, right?
That is way too much. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, honestly, that's like, you got to like dedicate almost like 2 years of being able to casually watch it to be like, oh yeah, we're going to get through 2 a day. Let's do 2 a day for like 2 years.
Like, that's like watching nothing else too. You know what I mean? It takes up all your fucking time.
I can't. Oh, how many episodes are there really? You say 1,000. That can't be 1,000.
Literally.
Oh my God. If you watch 3 a day, it'd take you almost a year.
Like literally, like they're all like chapter. I don't know if it's chapter or episode, like 980 or 990 something. Like literally,
oh my God.
1,000.
Yeah, I couldn't watch that either.
Unless it's overtaken Dragon Ball, I think it's the longest running or longest published manga, isn't it? One Piece.
Yeah, and the amount of like share volumes, One Piece is probably the longest.
Yeah.
And I've not seen a single episode. I have nothing bad to say about it. You know what I mean? It just doesn't seem like my thing. You know what I mean? It just feels like a lot of shonen went with the overly happy, overly optimistic protagonist, which Goku really isn't that.
No,
he's kind of like a normal guy. He's happy and he's optimistic, but it's because he's too naive to be afraid.
He loves training.
Exactly. You know what I mean? It's not exactly that. I think
here's a guy flying in a spaceship to fight some bad guys, if you want to think of it, and he's happy because, oh good, it's going to take me this amount of time to get there. I can do some training.
Exactly. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Let me bring it back to Alita and Goku, though. I mean, just to compare, and we can discuss this. Certainly we know Alita's a cyborg and Goku's.
Hey, wait, Creek.
Yeah.
Give me 2 to 3 minutes. I'm going to be right back. But go ahead and keep going. All right.
Okay. That Alita's a cyborg and Goku's a Saiyan. He is an alien. He's not human. He looks human in that, in the anime or whatever. He looks that way, but he's not a human. Alita has had 10 different bodies. One of them human. We had a discussion about that, I guess, at one point, whether or not that human body was really Alita, but it was her brain. Granted, it was almost like a clone. But, she did have the same kind of memories and even sentience that the original Alita had. So, it's kind of up in the air. But, anyway, there's been 10 Alitas or 10 bodies. And of course, Goku has 7 different power levels, and each next level is insanely powerful than the last. So that's what I find is really interesting and kind of funny in a really entertaining way. Not funny, but just kind of amusing or something like that when you see him power up. Now I haven't seen that yet I've seen shorts of it, how he does it, but I haven't seen it in the episodes we've been watching. They're both very excellent fighters. I mean, certainly Alita's got Panzerkunst. Goku was trained originally, like Den says, by his grandfather, but then Master Roshi trained him some more, and then King Kai trained him some more. Dizzy B, you're out there, bub. I can see you. So anyway, welcome aboard. They're a little different in this regard, although in a way they were both kind of discarded. Alita, of course, ended up in the scrapyard, and depending on what version you she was either thrown from Zalem or thrown from Jeru or Catheres, or Zalem being Tiferes. But, you know, I mean, she ends up in the scrapyard. Whereas Goku was sent to Earth as an infant with the ultimate goal of when he got older, he could destroy the Earth, you know. So, but I think, and Dan can correct me when he comes back, but I think when he had a head injury or something and made him forget a lot of stuff, and that enabled him to grow up more or less like a human, you know, kind of like a human child, you know. Certainly Alita's a single girl, you know, and Goku's a married guy. You know, he's married to a human named Chi-Chi, and he has a son named Gohan, who's a half human, half Saiyan, you know, type thing, which kind of puts him in that category of more powerful. Now he's a little boy, you know, in what we're watching, so he's not as powerful, say, as Goku is at this point. And in terms of Alita being a single girl, you know, if she's a real person, I'm not sure she'd be dateable material, because if you took her out to dinner, you'd literally be taking your life in your own hands, particularly if you pissed her off, you know. And then definitely Alita's a, you know, well, she's 300 years old, but, you know, 17 is kind of like her, I won't say chronological age, but her kind of age or whatever, you know. And I think by the time she gets into the, you know, good ways into the last order, she's like in her mid 30s. I mean, because there was that one, I've quoted this before, but you know, and this is after the I guess the Badlands arc. But anyway, she said, since I was in not Zalem, but in Iron City, it's been 14 years or whatever. So, you know, figuring that, you know, she was somewhere else, and then they lost some years and all that. She's probably anywhere from her early to mid 30s, you know, at the very end. And then,
Still
of course,
looks pretty damn fine for a 30-year-old.
Well, yeah, well, I think 30-year-olds look good anyway. So anyway.
Well, so does Rosa.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Rosa looks nice. But anyway, and then of course Goku, I think Dan can correct me on this one too, or maybe Angelus, you can, because you've seen it too. I think Goku's in his mid-20s, but I'm not sure about that. You know, I'm just judging by the fact that he's got Gohan, and Gohan's a little boy, and that kind of thing. So,
sorry, mates, I had to take a shower. I was smelling like ass.
But you always smell like us.
Well, smell like your ass, because I mean we're our couple, right?
All right, let's get this mutual admiration society thing. So anyway, but then what I was saying is that Goku, I think, he's in his mid-20s, isn't he?
Yeah, I would say he's in about, well, depending in this picture. In this picture,
Yeah.
I'd say he's about mid-20s because he was 18 at the end of Dragon Ball. That's plus 5 years, so what? That's like 23.
Yeah.
And then plus the 1 year dead, so that's 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 25. Yeah.
Yeah. But now, of course, eventually he becomes a grandpa and all that, you know. So that's cool. But I was talking about just what we're looking at here, and then of course Alita in this she's like 17, but by the time she gets to the Zot, she's like in her mid-30s. So, you know, I mean, when you count the Badlands arc and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah,
so,
in that picture, Goku's like 25. In that picture, Alita's probably like 30.
Yeah, because she's got that Imaginos body, Imaginos 2.1. So, yeah, exactly. So, what other kind of differences and similarities you see in the two? Oh, I know one thing I do want to talk about. We and kind of Angelus and I talked about this a little bit a while ago. Would these two actually fight? My personal opinion, I think they would. I think they would fight, you know, but I don't think it'd be like a fight to the death, because I think unless Alita was in her Imaginos, one of her Imaginos bodies, and Goku was in his lower body, it might be fairly even. But if he has got one of those more leveled up bodies and she doesn't, she's maybe in her berserker body or something, she don't stand a chance, really. But what I think is that unless she got to the Imaginos body, Goku wouldn't care about fighting her. I mean, he said, no, this is a waste of my time. It's not a challenge. You know, I don't want to mess with this, you know. But once she got in Imaginos body and he is like where he is now, he's going to say, "Oh, this looks pretty interesting. I might want to see how well I do against this, you know, or something like that." And they might fight, you know, but I don't think if he got the upper hand, I don't think he'd kill her. I think it'd probably be one of those things where he'd say, "Okay, I'm better," you know, or something like that. Or even if she did beat him, he would still be okay with, "Oh, I learned something, you know, I know what I can do," you know. But anyway, I think it would be kind of a thing to where almost like they were sparring, except they'd be hitting each other really hard. And I think they would eventually become friends, is what I think. I don't know, Den, what do you think?
I think they would absolutely fight. For number one, the number one reason why I think they would fight is because this is Akira Toriyama's property and Yukito Kishiro's property, and they like to make things fucking cool, and it would be cool to see them fucking fight. So that's the number one reason why they would fight. Number two reason why is because these characters are written to love fighting. So I think what would happen if they had a crossover, they would eventually somehow see one of them strong, right? Yeah. And that would make them want to spar. They wouldn't fight at all out of a malicious sense. You know what I mean? You see Goku fight many times against people who aren't his enemy. He prefers to fight people who aren't his enemy. The last villain in Dragon Ball, he kills him, and while he's killing him, he wishes he hopes to make him reincarnate as a good guy so they can fight again, quote unquote, without all the loss. Yeah. And so no, they would absolutely fight. They would absolutely spar. If Goku would realize her potential as a fighter and would probably take her under his wing in the fight. Of course, it wouldn't go to death because what would be the point of that? You know what I mean? You can always make her stronger. And then and he would scale himself to her level. You see this all the time when Goku's fighting someone who's weaker, like say one of his sons, right? He just won't turn Super Saiyan. And give himself a challenge in that way. You know, you see that all the time. Like, okay, this person would give me a challenge in my base form, so I'll just stay in my base form. Like if you watch the Broly movie, right? Goku fights Broly in every level to try to see at which level it would be a challenge for him. He doesn't want to just go all out because then it's not fun anymore. You know what I mean? He wants it to be a game. He wants it to be fun. So of course, like I said, I think that he would take her under his wing, and because that's what he does, and he would make her stronger. And like I said before, if Goku realizes that she can't get organically stronger like a person lifting weights because she has a cyber body, he would literally just take her to his best friend Bulma's house and say, "Hey, can you upgrade her like you did Android 18?" And boom, now he's got a partner for life that doesn't run out of energy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, what I think he would do, just from what little I've seen so far, is that if she was in her Imagino, say 2.1 body, I think he would try to fight her, you know, in his lowest form, you know, on that form we see right there. And if it got to the point, he would say, "Okay, this is not going well for me. I'm going to go to the next form. I want to see where it's competitive, you know." I mean, he might be competitive in this form. You don't know, you know, because we don't have enough to go on here. But if that was the case, I think he would power up until he got to the point where they were fairly even, you know. And he would say, "Okay, now this is great. This is good competition right here, you know." And I feel you know, energized or enlivened, you know, by this. I think that's just from what little I've seen of him. Because you remember when he was in the hospital bed, he was all about wanting to get out and train, you know. So I think that's what he would do with Alita here, you know.
I think that depending on the body, I think that Alita would fit so well into the Dragon Ball universe, especially for Goku, because, you know, Vegeta might not want to train every day. Yeah. You know, Gohan definitely doesn't want to train. Gohan actually, spoiler alert, Gohan when he grows up, Gohan's actually is a character with the most physical potential in the entire show, but he has the least will to train and fight. He actually grows up to be a college professor. And so he doesn't like fighting very much, but Goku likes to fight, you know what I mean? So Alita would be perfect because she can fight every day because she has a mechanical body, and he could get his friend Bulma, like I said, to scale her to where he's at. Even the Imagino's body, you know, Bulma and Capsule Corporation are really good at reverse engineering technology like they do with Android 16 and stuff like that. So from there, I think that he would use her basically as a friendly crash test dummy. oh, I learned this new technique today. Let me go to
Yeah.
my friend Alita to see how well this works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's fight and see how well it does work.
You know, and
Yeah,
Boma,
yeah.
Alita, I broke Alita today. Let's could you upgrade her again and give her an Imaginos 3.0 body? You know what I mean?
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah.
I think that'll make them very, very good friends, which is why I made that picture. The picture that I made that I said the Alita army would cancel me for.
Did you already do that that video, Dan, of Alita and Goku?
No, I didn't already do it.
Okay.
I wrote it, but I didn't
Okay.
record it.
Yeah,
my computer's gone.
Oh,
the best
that's
example
right.
that I'd be able to come up with is a character that you haven't met with, but Den would know about, and that's Oob.
What was that? Oh, you're talking, yeah, Oob. I kind of mentioned him earlier with the fact that Goku met this villain that was more of a challenge than anything he'd ever faced. So he was like, okay, I want this guy reincarnated, and he asked the gods, because at this point he saves the universe. He asked the gods to reincarnate Oob into a good person, and he reincarnates into like a little village child, like lives way out in the country and is really poor and stuff. And Goku says, you know what? You don't have to live like this. I'm gonna have you live with me. I'm gonna take you under my wing. And I'm gonna train you. And that was Goku's wish right there. You know.
Yeah. Nice.
And same would happen with the leader.
Exactly.
You know, like you said, they'd fight. He'd see how far he'd have to go, and I would even say it would go as far as the fact that if she did go to Imaginos body, he'd be forced to go to, like, dare I say, even base god level to basically overtake her, and then he'd be going, shit, if I can have a constant training partner where I'd be forced to go god level, then what if she was able to survive that, become even stronger? And that means that I could become even stronger in god level. And well, by saying god level, I've spoiled a few things, but
and now what you're saying, David, creates a problem. Because he's going to keep using Alita to push himself. She's going to keep using him to push herself. Yeah. They're going to end up spending a lot more time with each other than Goku would with Chi-Chi, because now Chi-Chi doesn't fight anymore, right? That's Goku's wife. She doesn't fight anymore.
That's where your picture comes in.
And so, and then he's going to be like, man, this Alita girl does not yell at me as much as Chi-Chi does.
She fights me. That's what I like.
Exactly. He doesn't tell me to stop fighting and get a job. You know what I mean?
She wants to fight me.
I think that's going to be a problem. You know?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, it's going to be real interesting. I mean, not to divert too much off this, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens when Vegeta gets Bulma. It's going to be. I'm just looking forward to seeing how that's going to turn out.
Because honestly, at first, he doesn't give a shit about her.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing, though. Once he gets her, you know, I mean, he's powerful and all that, but I'm telling you, he's going to have his hands full.
Well, she did pretty much raise Goku as a child, so she's kind of used to being around motherfuckers who can blow up planets, you know.
Yeah,
so she can hold her own, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Craig, you'll find out after the Frieza saga.
Cool.
And that's when 18 comes in, so.
Oh, that's what I got to see too. I want to see 18 break Frieza's arm. I mean, Vegeta's arm.
It's already broken. How many times does he? Oh,
that's right. I guess that big guy, didn't he?
In fact, it's a meme now, because there's a meme floating around where Vegeta's constantly holding his left arm, and it's like in like 6, 7, 8 different like sagas or arcs, if you will.
Have you ever had a nagging injury, David? Like something that gets injured and then it heals, but every now and then it hurts, and you know that's all. Yeah,
I got that right now.
That's what I think that is. It's a nagging injury, the one that kind of never goes away.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a shoulder issue sometimes, and I have to really do a lot of stretching and pulls and stuff like that, you know, before I can bench, you know. So
I found out recently that my left leg is ever so slightly longer than my right leg, but just enough so that it causes strain on my lower back when I get into the higher mileage. So that's kind of, I got to stretch that a lot. That's really annoying.
Yeah. Well, you don't. Well, no, we don't need to get. I was going to ask you if you had a scoliosis, but we don't need to talk about that.
No. I'm very glad I don't. But I've dated a girl who has. I made her booty look really big. I'm sorry, guys.
Well, not as sorry as I'm going to be, because I was going to say, what about your third leg? Yeah.
That's a racial thing. That's actually an affliction that a lot of black men have. 3 legs.
Yeah. Shit. Dan, I can't wait to meet you. So anyway.
Same thing. It'll be like I'm Alita and he's Goku. Like he'll
as long as you got that order correct. I'll want to be the Goku here. You know what I mean?
Like, he'll teach me how to shoot. I'm sure I'll definitely learn something from with him from fighting, and then at the end of all that, well, sorry to swear, but we'll have smoke some meat afterwards and have a barbecue.
Guys, get your minds out of the gutter with that last one. All right.
So anyway, but I guess we're getting pretty close to the end. Go ahead, Angelus. What?
It just hit me what Den just referred to.
Oh.
Like, I wasn't even thinking in that direction.
I wasn't either.
Only after the fact that he brought it up, it's like, oh, wait.
Well, I thought about it after he brought it up.
Yeah. It's all your fault, Dan.
Yeah. So anyway, Alita and Goku, definitely, I think they'd be friends. I think it's like Ben says, though, they would fight each other, and they'd probably get pissed at each other, and stuff like that from time to time. But, that would be for them, it'd be positive. They would love to just kind of duke it out with each other and just keep going, and I agree with Dan. I think that's going to be a problem with Goku and Chi-Chi, if Alita was to enter the picture. So anyway, I guess that's pretty much it. I think I can't think of anything else unless you, Dan, you or Angelus can think of anything.
Between similarities and differences?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The other thing I was going to say.
Okay.
Well, and it leads into the topic that we already discussed. 1 second. Okay, now the other lung's gone. One of my instructors, she is 3rd Dan black belt, and she is only about 5'6",
okay,
maybe a little bit shorter.
Okay,
and me being like
an Australian accent,
probably
a little, I'd probably be able to go toe to toe with her if I went like, excuse me again. If I went like what they call jukumite, or like 100%, and but what I'm still afraid of is that if I had to go 100%, so would she.
Yeah.
And for me, I have no idea what she's capable of. I mean, like, similar to Alita in the sense that, she can generate a lot of power from such a small body frame, and she's a lot lower as well, so she'd be able to get me in some soft spots, quote unquote. and also the fact that like her fist would be a lot smaller, so it would be like a sledgehammer of me hitting her compared to like, almost like a bullet of her hitting me. And like, that's exaggerating it quite a bit, but I mean, in terms of proportions, that's what I feel like, because a lot smaller surface area with the same amount of force hitting me in, like, say, the gut or the solar plexus, compared to like a much bigger surface area smacking her in the head, and there are some points in the head that are like really hard. So go figure. And how I link that back to Alita and Goku is in that I guess aspect, I would be Alita and she would be Goku, because yes, I might be. Some might think I'm the more powerful fighter, but that doesn't equivalent to the better fighter.
Yeah.
Because eventually she'll pull her tricks and her experience out of her repertoire.
Yeah.
And she basically trumped me.
Well, it'd be kind of like a Gariska, right? And Alita, when they fought, Alita was a lot smaller than Gariska, especially in that alley fight, and she just beat his brains out.
In fact, yeah, that'd be more like it then.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I see the relationship between Alita and Goku. And as we already touched on, like they would stop not because like they wouldn't stop because they don't want to kill each other. They'd stop because they realize there's so much more potential there.
Yeah.
That they wouldn't let it be squandered.
Yeah. Plus, it'd be like you say, they'd realize the value in the other one being, being alive or whatever you want to call it, and then of course they would see that as a positive, which I think would lead to them being friends. I think because they would see that I can learn from this person, or I can get better from this person, So, yeah, that's what I think. So I think they would. Yeah, I don't think they wouldn't kill each other. I mean, they'd have some pretty good fights. I am so sure, But I think they would stop short of that because they would become friends. And anyway, that's Creek's wishful thinking, maybe.
Yeah, but yeah, beyond that, I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, what do you think, Ben?
Nope, that's it pretty far. I mean, I wish I could access my notes for the video I had written. You know what I mean? In order to think of some more points, but
yeah,
like I said, my laptop is gone, so that's it.
Yeah, I'm working on a video about it's comparing, Alita's movie martial arts with the movements in the manga.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm putting that together. What I really want to do with it, I don't want to just do a static video, but what I'd like to do is get you and Angelus and my brother on StreamYard, and we'll just do a record session and just comment, on it, because both of you guys are, accomplished martial artists. I know a little bit about it. My brother has been in martial arts for 50 years, so he's still. I'd hate to have to fight him. He's only 5'6", but good God.
He's your younger brother?
Yeah, my younger brother. Well, he's only 2 years younger, so I mean, but he's he would be a handful for anybody. So we were talking about Muay Thai today too, and he really likes Muay Thai. He thinks it's great. He likes that shin kicking is what he likes.
So he'd be Cretaceous period and you'd be Jurassic period.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, we're both immortal, I guess. So, but anyway, you guys, I would like to do that sometime. We'll keep in touch on that. We'll keep that one coordinated. But yeah, I'm beginning to, just from watching, Dragon Ball Z Kai, I'm really growing appreciation for Goku, and I really like Vegeta. I mean, he some folks might think he's evil, and he kind of is in a lot of ways, but I kind of like him, he's so anyway, anything else, you guys, that you can think of that we may have forgotten?
Alita for the film, I don't know if this is going to be a controversial thing. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. But I think Alita in the film might need a happy ending at the end of her trilogy. Something a little bit happier than the manga Alita gets. That way we can kind of see her in that slice of life kind of setting that we get with Dragon Ball, because you get to see Goku as a father, as a grandfather, as a farmer, that kind of stuff. You don't really get to see that with Alita too much. She's always having something shitty happen to her.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe movie Alita deserves to be the alternate universe Alita that gets a happy ending, and then we can really compare them then.
Yeah, maybe Mary Figure 4 or something like that, huh? Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Goku just rips through the screen and says, "Nah, mine," and then walks away like a caveman.
I'm leaving Chi-Chi, and I want Alita.
I'm just kidding. No, Figure 4 definitely. That would be a great. Of course, Figure 4 kind of like is the Goku archetype. Goku's archetype in Dragon Ball is a flat, positive character. He doesn't necessarily change. He changes the people around him. Everyone becomes a better, stronger version of themselves by being around him. And that's what Figure 4 is in the Alita manga.
Yeah.
Figure 4 is not really a character that goes through an arc. He puts other characters through their arcs.
Yes.
So.
He makes Alita better, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
So in a roundabout way, she already did marry Goku,
Yeah.
Well, at least she's engaged to him because she's engaged to Figure 4.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be neat to see Alita get a break. Not to get too mushy on this, but I was thinking, I've watched Alita. We've talked about this a number of times, not as many as just about all the Alita Army people, but the members. But at that last scene, where she's in the locker room and she's standing and looking in the mirror and she's about to cry, and then she splits that tear, with the Damascus blade, and is rolling out there, and you just see the look on her face. And I always think, God, she only wanted to be happy, and here's this guy Nova that does all this stuff to her, and it's really shitty, and I'm saying that is she needs to get by that, I think. So as a character, so
I guess the only silver lining we can take out of that is the fact that she's simply just forced to mature at a faster rate, or perhaps at an earlier stage than one normally would have.
Yeah.
I mean, she definitely deserves to eventually catch up on the years she would have lost due to the fact that she had to mature as a character a lot faster. But hey,
that's a good point, because now in the movie you don't get a sense of that all that time, but it's got to be at least several months, and literally she matures from a 14-year-old to a young woman in her early 20s, by the time she gets that berserker body, and she gets in the motorball, in that motorball body. Literally she matures like 8-9 years in the course of probably 3 months, from all that shitty stuff that happens to her, so that's not like any other character I've seen in any movies maturing that fast,
And let's not forget that just before we wrap it up, let's not forget that in the movie it literally says she makes her first appearance in the Champions League. Yeah. So it even skips some parts of the motorball arc as well.
Yeah.
Because I know she to get the number 99, she's I think in the second league at that stage.
Yes. Yeah, her and Adjicutty actually kind of do a little bit of a one-on-one challenge, don't they? And Adjicutty realizes, no, I can't beat her. So.
And if I'm not mistaken, she doesn't even make it to the Champions League, because Jashigan accepts her challenge.
Yeah.
Says, all right, we'll pick 4 other fighters to make up a motorball makeout, and I'll just fight you. If the others want to get involved, that's their own death warrant signed. But
yeah. That's right. She doesn't get in the Champions League, does she, in the manga? But in the novelization, she definitely does. So.
Well, and that's, like I said, that's part of the. Even as a very, I wouldn't say basic fan, but even as a fan with a basic level of knowledge, I went into it like expecting them to take liberties, and I was still pleasantly surprised with how much liberties they took, and still
for me it was a little different because I saw the movie first, and then when you and I started reading the manga, that's when I started getting into the manga. But it's I saw the differences, and I'm okay with it, and the differences in that, the novelization, and even Maxie's fanfic, is not to spoil too much because everybody needs. Matter of fact, I should probably put a link, in the. Let me do that real quick just so everybody can see it.
Well, while you're doing that, like something that we both did is that because we knew it was derived from a manga, and because I can only assume this happened with you as well, but because we assumed that that there would be some level of changes because it's a completely different medium, it was so well done that we wanted to find out what those differences were.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And I'm kind of hoping that's how people will see that recently, I guess, released. I know there's a better term, but I can't think of it at the moment.
Yeah.
But when they put Alita on the FX channel, and they changed that scene. They censored that scene. I'm hoping people will think, "Oh, that sounds kind of gay. I wonder what the real version is like."
Yeah.
And they go out and seek it.
Yeah, Cran says read Maxie's fan novel. I actually started volume 5 today, but I had to stop because I had to do some work. So, but anyway, but you're right, Cran. It's what I've read so far is really good. Maxie's a good writer. There's no doubt about it. So
yeah, what's gonna happen is Max is gonna finish that fan fiction, and then Cranberry is gonna draw it as a comic book, right? So we get like kind of an extension to the manga, but in like from the movies canon.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we put together an animated short around it?
Around Max's stuff?
Yeah, around Max's stuff with Cranberry drawing it. Hear that, Cran? How do you like that?
So Cran's gonna draw it. I'll edit it because I like to edit.
Well, I'll help you with that too. So
who can animate?
I'll actually. Well, my brother can do it, I think. But I'll be the executive producer. That's what I'll be. So
then Cran's gonna voice every character. She'll voice Ito, she'll voice Alita, she'll voice Gruishka, all of them.
And I'll speak for Cran when I say, "Fuck you." No.
Yeah, you're gonna get your FU here in a few minutes, there, I imagine, Angelus.
No, I reckon she'd probably say it, even though she is the princess of the
the princess of the Alita Army and the champion, the 2021 champion in Alita Army. Well, it wouldn't be queen because our queen is Rosa, but Cran, you are a queen of something. I don't, maybe the the tournament.
Trivia.
Yeah, trivia. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Anyway, just wanted to say, of course, here's our queen right here. And the Creek thinks she's number one as an actress. I mean, just the job she did, it's amazing. Now she don't hear that from me, but hopefully I hope she knows that all of us in the Alita Army really think extremely highly of her. I mean, she's great. So anyway, and we're going to continue to fight for that sequel. And I think she'd love to play Alita again, I'm so sure. And we would love to see her in it. That's for sure. And why is this image here? Because I like it and I'm running the stream. And I'm only here for our girl, like the rest of us in the Alita Army. We're all here for our girl. So I just want to say one thing before I do kind of wrap it up. And we'll go into what we're going to do tomorrow on the Radio Chaos stream. Alita, I think, Angelus, kind of referenced this a while ago. Alita is on FX here in the United States, and on next Saturday. She's going to, not tomorrow, but next Saturday. She's going to be on at 3:30 Eastern. And next Sunday, she's going to be on at 11 a.m. So in the morning. So it sounds like a good thing for the Creek to watch that movie and then, drink his coffee. And I want to see what they do to that scene. Well, actually, there's a couple of scenes in there that they're probably going to put clothes on her or something, more than likely, So, but I got to see it, So just compare it to the show enough movie, as they would say. So.
At the very least, if there's any Leader Army members Hunter Warriors out there that have access or can view the FX channel, please do so and let us know.
Yeah.
We're definitely not going to criticize you, but it's just the fact that we want to see what changes they do make.
Yeah.
More out of curiosity than anything else.
Yes. Yeah, that's my biggest thing. I'm just curious. About it. So
because there might be a valid reason in the terms of what time the movie is screened at. Because I know at the very least here in Australia, anything that starts playing prior to I think 8 o'clock or something like that, 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Has to be censored or it can't be beyond a certain rating, something like that. So they might have something similar.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do in the States. We have a similar thing. Late at night they can get away with more, but during the day and early evening they can't. So, they have to tone it down.
So we'd love to know, any and all changes that they make.
Yeah.
More.
So anyway, watch our girl. She's gonna be on TV next week in the U.S. on Fox or FX. And tomorrow, in terms of the Radio Chaos, we're going to have a pretty neat stream. Have we figured out who's going to host that yet, Angelus?
It'll definitely be Maxie.
Okay. Yeah, because you're still under the weather a little bit, I guess. But anyway, we're going to be talking about, the cyberpunk properties that, folks like, and how does it compare to Alita? And of course, Alita is cyberpunk. So, it's going to be a pretty neat stream tomorrow. I think, it's going to be full of content and that sort of thing, which will be a good thing. Oh, Cran. I love you, Cran. So, yeah. Yeah, we all got our FUs on that one. I love it.
Yeah.
Hey. So anyway, Ash, thanks a lot, Ash. We appreciate it. And Alejandro, we appreciate you too, bud. And this is, as we say on the Radio Chaos stream, we do this for you guys. And I know I really love doing this stream here, and I love being on the Radio Chaos stream too. Anything to help our to help our girl get that sequel, that's what I'm willing to do. And I think if some of you have noticed, judging by the number of views I've been getting on my channel, is that I've been trying to put out a lot more videos here in the past month or so, because I'm trying to pump, trying to get things going. I mean, in my small way, I want that sequel, and I want that trilogy. I want that 4 movies. I want that series. I want the merch. I just want it. I want a prequel. I want all that good stuff. So, okay. Anything else there, Angelus or Den? Den, are you still with us, or are you having system issues?
System issues?
System issues.
Yes.
Hang
on. Let's find out, because we all know that Alita is a better waifu.
Yeah,
no, definitely having system issues.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Alita being a better waifu than Android 18. Although I would say Dan's got a point. Android 18 is really a good waifu for sure, but I'm still number 2. So anyway, that's the way it goes. So I guess the last thing we have to do is our call to action, I guess. So I guess on my account, just since Dan's having system issues and we lost Kunstler 99, he probably is driving home from work. we're going to do the call to action, and that's going to be the new, film those sequels, baby. So anyway, on my count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
Film those sequels, baby.
And we will see you guys tomorrow on Radio Chaos, and we'll see you next Friday on the Alita live stream. Good night or good day.